Sunday. How come there's no one chatting yet? That's a long intro. Welcome to the Lakers Fast Break post-game for the Lakers and Utah Jazz. The Lakers squeak out a 105-104 win in Utah. Where is everyone? Oh, there we are. I saw the 9 pull up now. How you doing, John? Sean?
Oh, what's up, brother? How you doing?
Sean, this is the first time we've done a show since your return, so welcome back. And John, I'm sure you're happy about LeBron's performance tonight, and we'll talk more about that. But let's discuss what's going on first with this particular game. So tonight's game was, would you call it a trap game? Are the Lakers good enough to have that kind of, I guess, line in the sand? I don't know. I'm still kind of 50-50 on that. But I do want to thank Will Hardy for pulling a Mike Tomlin for basketball and screwing up time, or at least timeout, but except in reverse. He didn't use a timeout earlier today. And, you know what I'm talking about. So Lakers ended up winning 105-104. Anytime you can get a win in Utah on the road is a win because, well, it should be a win and a half. Because it's Utah, Denver. It's just one of those things where no matter how many games I've watched, however many years, whatever talent the Lakers have had, winning in Utah is always a pain in the rear end. And I know it sounds like I'm giving them a little bit of a break here, but that's just history. But they won, and right now they're 8-1 against teams below 500. So they're beating the teams they're supposed to beat, and we're going to have to see if they can figure something out after this so that they continue to not ruin every end of game situation. LeBron shot too many threes to end this game and not enough aggressiveness from the other three besides AD and LeBron. But again, it is what it is. You know, they're the two stars, and this is what we have to expect. So I'm going to ask you, Sean, since you were here first. You saw the whole game. It felt like a February game to me, where everybody looked bored. What could the Lakers have done in this game to have at least kind of maybe had a chance to blow this out and just kind of rest? Why didn't they do that?
It's a good question. My only answer for that is that we have zero depth, no room to spare, and for God's sakes, I really hope they didn't look at it as a trap game because they're not good enough to think that any game is a trap game. Trap games are reserved for those teams that are very good to excellent, Joe, and a series of circumstances have unfolded that maybe have allowed them to not play at 100%. The Lakers are not afforded that perception, either internally or externally. So there's no way they should have been looking at South Beach and Atlanta coming up this week before you decided that you were going to take the night off, because this game was a lot like a combination of if you had to get a root canal done and then if you had to have emergency proctology surgery. That's kind of what this game felt like. Just a long, long, long road to pain. But we got to win. All I care about is that column in the L that says W's. The column on the left-hand side says a W. I'm good. That being said, it was an awful game to watch. This is the kind of game this year that the NBA does not want to advertise. The ratings are down, and this game was a perfect example why. Combined, these two teams shot I believe it was 21 of 74 from 3. Just disgusting.
And LeBron was 0 for 9 tonight. And I'm gonna
0 for 10. He missed his last 3.
the stats say 9. It might have been maybe they didn't update it, but either way, 0-9 was 10 is bad. So Johnny, I'm gonna go to you here, and I'm gonna throw some light shade on you because I know you love LeBron. But what I mean by throwing the light shade is I'm going to educate you a little bit. Stats can be deceiving. So let's look at the stats. I'm going to look at them right now. LeBron had a not bad shooting night. He was 12 for 28, right? Played 36 minutes, had 27 points, 14 rebounds, and 14 assists and 5 rebounds. But in today's NBA, there are no more deceiving statistics in this era. There used to be a little bit more, I guess, leverage in good games when you had someone assist for 14 assists. These days, it doesn't really tell you the story. Today, you saw LeBron James miss 9 or 10 threes because he's tired. That's what happens. If anybody's ever played basketball, what happens when you start to get tired? You get tired, you start shooting the ball. And you start shooting
legs.
The furthest away you can go because every step makes you more tired. Now imagine playing in the NBA and you're LeBron James and you're dealing with guys like Marketing and all these guys who are huge trying to tell you, no, you're not going to come in the lane. It's much, much harder. So what you had tonight, and this is more of an education. This isn't we're not denigrating LeBron. I'm not. What this was is there needs to be someone else on this team, whether they're on the roster now or not, that can score. We've discussed this. This team needs a third scorer. They cannot keep depending on LeBron James to go to the basket, especially go in Utah and in the Denvers and all that. It's not going to be very realistic to depend on that. And then AD's game is limited. He doesn't shoot well enough to spread the floor. And when he's down low, he's going to be dealing with a lot of contact, and he's not really good at consistently dealing with that all game long. It is a problem. Lakers have to find, and it can't be some shooter either. It needs to be a scorer, someone who can shoot, and someone can also put the ball on the floor and create fear both ways. So that's the positive tonight, at least for me. The positive in what I got tonight is it really solidified the fact that the Lakers absolutely need to get a third scorer however they can. Of course, that's going to be a task in itself. And then until they do that, this is what you're likely going to have to deal with. And then everyone's going to get on LeBron for missing shots. Everyone's going to get mad at AD. They're tired at the end, folks. It's the same script. They're all tired in the end. So that's what I kind of wanted to throw your way. And if there's any assessments on this, John, that you want to throw in that we haven't talked about, go ahead and do that. And then we'll discuss how they can fix this little problem with LeBron shooting from outside, at least for the time being.
Yes. Man, guys, you know what's the one number that I look at that really upsets me this game? Not even really the free throw number for us, to be honest with you. But what really, really upsets me, y'all, is the fact that the Jazz had 15 turnovers and we had 5. They had 15 turnovers. We had 5. You know what that tells me? We were not converting shit on the other end. We could not get nothing converted. That is embarrassing, y'all. Do you know, at least in my opinion, the biggest changes in basketball is when you go on those 5-0 swings or those 6-0 swings to where it just happens like this. One team hits a 3, next time down court, quick turnover, next time down court, you hit a 3 again, 6-0 run, just like that. It could change absolutely everything, right? Imagine how many times we had an opportunity to do that with them having 15 turnovers in all game. We kept squandering that opportunity over and over and over and over. So to me, I'm happy. Like, well, I think the way Sean said it was great, right? It's like as long as the W's in that column, that's all I care about. It's all that really matters at the end of the day. But it definitely is upsetting because I think this could have been one of those games that Bron and AD could have got some easy rest. I mean, bro, first quarter, y'all, they had I think six turnovers at the end of the first quarter. We had one. Come on, man. We could have got out early on this game. Could have got an early comfortable lead and been able to do something with it. But hey, you know what? It is what it is. A win is a win. I do want to talk about just I get on Max Christie so much, but let me get it. Let me give him his credit when he needs to be praised. This is the best stretch of basketball I've seen Max Christie play his entire life, and it might be his entire existence. Period. Not just that I've seen. This might literally be the best stretch of basketball he's played in so long. Just playing his role amazingly. Not every single time. It's not like damn. Come on, Max. Oh, what kind of decision was that, Max? And then also Gabe. Gabe also had a big game today, and they kept saying on the broadcast, and I'm right there with it, y'all. You guys know how many times I've said this on the streams here. Confidence is everything in basketball. If you don't believe in yourself, if you feel like, damn, like if I take this shot, is everybody going to be looking at me crazy? But if you could just play with saying, I don't care, I'm going to take this shot and fuck it. If you don't like it, go get the rebound. Or fuck it, I'm going to take this shot and I don't really care if I'm not going to get pulled because I know ain't nobody behind me for me to get pulled on. Man, that right there would change 99% of your game. And that's what we saw today. So one thing I did love is, whether Jalen had a good game or not, Jalen Hurts-Scafino only finished with 4 points. This was just a confidence booster for Jalen, for Max, for Gabe, for all these guys, to be honest, in my opinion. And you got to love it, man, because confidence can turn into something.
Good deal. So, Sean, there's some comments on the board where people are thinking maybe LeBron needs a day or so off. How I'm looking at the schedule, and we got a game tomorrow in Minnesota. I'm going to put money on the fact that he won't be available tomorrow. What do you think about that?
How much money?
$4.
I'll bet you
Canadian.
I had to. George said, "Twist the knife there with her funny money." I'll bet you $5 Canadian he plays.
So $5, you're on. $5 he sits tomorrow. If I lose, you get $5, and I'll make sure it's American. So there's an interesting story, and I you guys know I'm an Adam Silver fan. Although
you get the first shot at TJ Oysters.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Thank you. By the way, the one taco will be $5 if I don't get cheese. There's an interesting retort that Adam Silver had today. Or actually, was it today? Let me look at that one more time. I'm sorry, guys. It was actually last week. I'm sorry. Read the wrong date. But he blamed the 28% drop in viewership through November 21st on the elections and the Dodger-Yankee World Series. Now, if you want to say the elections, I would have bought that a little bit. But I have never heard an NBA commissioner say that baseball was the reason why no one was watching basketball. So I know that he's full of shit there. So I don't care if it's the Dodgers, Yankees. Again, I thought that was kind of
he needs a colostomy bag. He's so full of shit on that one.
Yeah, very true. And so and the reason why I'm bringing this up is I mentioned I was on Lakers Ball too on our chat while we were playing, and I wrote like maybe late in the first how boring this game was. Now I'm used to seeing a boring game like this where there's no life in it. Usually like in January, February. I don't remember a boring game like this at the beginning of December. Usually you're still kind of on that, the season just started, going up on the roller coaster and enjoying whatever's there. And it looked like a late January, early February game. And this is supposed to be the time where they're trying to get everybody pumped up for that fake NBA Cup bullshit. So what is Adam Silver going to do when his ratings continue to be shitty in December? Because there seems to be this commentary about the NBA game in that all you see nowadays is no defense and three-point shots. How's he going to get himself out of this? Is he going to play football during December now or January? What happens if Goodell adds another, and it's going to happen, when Goodell and the NBA owners get another game in this and football runs into almost through February? What are you going to do? You're going to wait for March to get your ratings? But then you're going to blame March Madness then, right? So when does it end? When does it end? I think Adam Silver needs to figure some things out here, because this game, the way it was played tonight, was kind of a microcosm of what the NBA has turned into. There's really no advantage with a LeBron-led team, even when he drops 14 assists. The reason why that is because the way the system and the way the game is played or allowed to be played right now is at the advantage of any team that shoots without having to worry about the effects of shooting. LeBron missed 9 or 10 three-pointers and he won the game. That's a lot of misses from three. That is supposed to destroy your team. And you had 5 turnovers by the Lakers, and they still barely won. If it wasn't for Will Hardy calling a timeout, again, I got to look at the last few seconds of that. They might have, maybe it was too loud or I wasn't paying attention. Maybe he called a timeout and everybody kind of stopped playing. But let's just say they didn't. Let's just say he called it at the worst time, and it ended up biting him in the ass.
Well, he did, because Colin Sexton hit the game-winning shot, and he called the timeout.
I mean, he pulled the Lakers, right? Pretty much. That's something the Lakers would normally do. But anyways, the NBA has a little bit of an issue here with viewership, and we're going to probably talk. I'm going to probably talk about that on Nightcap a little bit more, because I think it's something important to talk about. We have been discussing this detail about parity in the NBA. This fallacy that the NBA needs parity. We do not need parity. They're trying to pull that shit off in baseball. And everyone needs to understand, first of all, there's parity in baseball. There hasn't been a repeat champion since 2000. We're talking about a quarter century almost. So for those of you who like to just yap because you're losers and you don't like the fact that your teams aren't doing shit, pay attention to the stats. Remember when we talked about this, Sean, about how possessions? Remember, I was surprised to hell. You're like, there's only one extra possession now versus in the 90s, right? I would have never in a million years guessed that, ever.
I know.
So when you guys, and this is for more of a public service announcement for everyone, when you think you know, you don't know shit. Do the research and then come talk. So tomorrow the Lakers go to Minnesota. Another back-to-back game, having to fly out on a late flight, and then they're playing Minnesota tomorrow at 5. So they're technically losing an hour, and then they got to go play an earlier game tomorrow. What are the chances, and this is another bet for you if you want to have it, Sean, what are the chances that they win this game?
Well, here's the rub. If this was a game, say in Detroit or in Philly on a back-to-back after playing in the Mountain Time Zone, I would concede that would probably be a good time for LeBron to sit. But Minnesota's right there with us, Joe. And these head-to-head games really matter. They really do. So I expect them to play. And I'd expect him to sit in Atlanta. I think he's going to play in Miami and sit in Atlanta.
The thing is with Atlanta is they have a break in between the Miami and Atlanta game. The reason why I thought he'd sit for Minnesota is because I think they probably feel like they're going to lose this game anyways. Why would you waste LeBron on the back end of a back-to-back in a game like this? But we'll see tomorrow. John, what's your take on LeBron playing tomorrow? Do you think he's going to play or not?
Sorry about that. I was trying to unmute myself. Honestly, I'm gonna be honest. We don't have the luxury for him to be like, oh, I am gonna play, not gonna play. But this is LeBron James. He does what he wants, whether it's useful for our team or not. So with that being said, I do think he will sit out tomorrow. He looked very, very tired. No legs on his jumper. And it kind of pissed me off how he was just kept going for that Cal Korver record. Now, I'm not necessarily thinking he has Cal Korver in his mind, but it's like, LeBron, stop getting him up. It's like, come on, dog.
Well, it's one of those things where you, as a player, you think, okay, I'm finally going to make one here, and it doesn't go through. We admired we admired Kobe when he had that killer instinct to keep shooting. I'm not necessarily downgrading LeBron for that. It's just I'm just coming to the realization that that's the only choice this team has at this point. If you really were watching the games, that's what it is, and it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, and we still have to wait a couple more weeks before you can actually kind of really do anything on December 15th. So this is going to be a couple of weeks where we have to continue to play with what we have here. I don't know. Is Austin going to be back tomorrow? Or is he going to be too sick? That's another thing we got to look at. Are they going to continue to leave guys open? You know, that's another thing about this Laker defense. I don't know. Utah didn't have anybody. Markkanen is good. Don't get me wrong, but there's no one really there that you have to worry about inside. It's not like you have to guard Jokic or Embiid. Why are you always double teaming guys going to the basket when you don't have to? If they get that particular point, fine. But those wide open threes on the corner, I think Keontae George hit a couple of them early, and I'm just like, guys, Keontae's nice, but he shouldn't have wide open threes like that. So I'd love to ask JJ Redick why that continues to happen and why he doesn't play more man to man. Just stick with your guys and use the youth you have. At the very least, you can use the youth for something here where you're gonna play one-on-one, stick your chest in his back, in his front, whatever it is that you got to do, and just stay with him. At least put your hand up in some kind of normal way. He makes a shot, but wide open needs to stop with these teams. It just drives me nuts. I don't know how they're going to fix it, and I don't know if it's something where they can't really read off what's going on, and I'd have to sit and watch these games probably 2 or 3 times to really see it. I wish I had time to do that. But just based off what I saw live, way too many open shots. It doesn't matter anymore in the NBA whether you're a bad team or a good team. These no-name guys or these middle-tier guys are going to make that shot because that's what the NBA is. And that is why, folks, why the NBA is probably suffering in terms of viewership. Remember I asked you guys too. Sean, you weren't here for it, but I'll ask you, and since you weren't here the last time I asked the question. After LeBron is gone, have you thought about who actually would be the face of the NBA?
I have.
So I'm going to go to Sean first on this. Who is the face? And I know Steph Curry is the other guy. But once those guys are gone, and I can't really go with Steph and LeBron right now because they're not dominant. They're not the dominant guy. The teams that are dominant are the Celtics, the Oklahoma City Thunder, and Denver, let's say, right? And I know Cleveland is dominant this year, but I'm not even going to mention them because there's really no I'm sorry, for the guys in Cleveland, there's no public general names on Cleveland to where you can go, oh, everybody knows who Jokic is. Everyone does it do I don't know a lot of people that know who Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is. I've had talks. I was at a bar. I'm like, yeah, Shea, Shea's having a good game. They're like, who? They didn't know who the hell it was.
It's disappointing.
You think Shea would be like the snap, right? Oh, we know who Shea is. If they're not watching basketball, the general audience, the general fan, don't know who the hell Shea is. They know who LeBron is. They know who Steph is. But what happens to the NBA? And I think this is, again, important. Adam Silver's losing his sight on star players, how to market those. That's what made the NBA. Bird versus Magic, Jordan, Shaq, Kobe, LeBron, Steph. This is what you need to focus your marketing on, not some stupid ass court where you have neon and a bunch of lights going everywhere and then playing on some fake ass championship in December. And then you'd have less, negativity towards these lousy games.
Well, and Joe, to with all due respect to the 25 and under crowd, I mean, the 90s also had personalities. It wasn't just marketing Jordan. You could market Charles Barkley. He had personality. Larry Johnson, Grandmama, small little Charlotte, North Carolina. Got a lot of pub because of Grandmama. Patrick Ewing and the Knicks got a lot of publicity. They had personnel. Like, there was personnel. There's not a whole lot of personality in the NBA. It's a lot of diluted, superfluous. Like you said, who would you market as the face of the NBA after LeBron and Steph are gone, right? So the two guys in the pole positions right now that are neck and neck are Ant and Luca. Those are the
It's gonna
two
be Ant.
guys. But it's gonna be Ant. Yeah. Minnesota. Not a whole lot going on in Minnesota. I'm not gonna lie.
Mm-hmm.
Not a whole lot. We understand why Dante DiVincenzo was so upset about being traded from New York to Minnesota. It's hard to find spaghetti bolognese in Minneapolis, not gonna lie. You can find trout or a nice salmon dish, but a nice Italian restaurant, hard to find. Anyway, the point is, Joe, we saw it before with Minnesota as a small market and trying to have a superstar. They tried with KG. It didn't work. And I've told Joe this before, and I'm not sure if John was on or not, but like there were a lot of cats who would have worn KG jerseys had he played for a team in a bigger market. He would have likely had the number one selling jersey in the NBA after Mike if he was in a different market. But like you said, Joe, Adam Silver has come up with this idea that there's parity in the NBA and parity makes the competitiveness healthier. And to an extent, that's true, but it also waters down the marketability of your stars.
So
Now, if I
I'll get to you, John, in a second here. I'm going to transition to you because this is a very relevant question to you based off of where you are in your life. Sean, you're in your late 30s, correct? Or about to get in your late 30s? I'm
Yes.
46. So I'm out of the ever popular 18 to 35 demographic. But you, Johnny boy, you are at the middle. You're in the prime. You are prime. You're the prime advertiser's catch.
yes,
So why aren't you watching? Why aren't your
I am.
people watching?
I
You tell
am.
me.
I'll tell you this. So I personally am watching. I'm watching more basketball this year probably than I ever have. Like I'd be up super late. But why I do think that there's been a bit of a drop off. I do think a little bit of it has to do with the election. I'm not gonna lie. There was a lot right on the election. That whole shit he said about baseball, that was ridiculous though, because that's like that was out of pocket. But what I will say is as far as why 25-year-olds like me aren't watching, I'm gonna be honest with you. I think it's more of this generation and the younger and younger. The attention spans get smaller and smaller and smaller. So it's just highlight reels, highlight clips. That's more what they like to watch and not necessarily games. But what I will say, as far as the next face of the league, and to Magic Man's point, look, I was born in 1999. I did not watch in the 90s back in the day, so maybe you guys got me beat on like the marketability. But one thing that you said, Sean, about how like there just isn't as marketable personality, or there just isn't like people who are out there. And maybe tell me if I misunderstood you, but I would disagree because I think that you look at in today's NBA, like on almost not every, almost every team, there's a player who's like face of that franchise. Like, yo, this is who we're rocking with. This is who we're gonna market. This is who we're gonna go with. And they all have somewhat of different personalities. Yeah, we have the Anthony Edwardses, who's the funny, the joking, the goofy, the this and that. We have the John Morant, who he was gonna be the face of the league until he did that dumb shit, and then just that the NBA is just going to forever punish him for that. To be honest with you, because I mean, essentially, the NBA is a business. The kids, it's the parents of the kids who are buying these shoes, so they're not going to market a man who the parents are just like, oh, isn't this the guy that got caught up with a gun? So he's not really ever going to get marketed like that much. But like you can look at the Rockets have Jalen Green. I mean, Wimby, Devin Booker. You could even look as far as like I wouldn't say Jalen Brunson as much, but I mean Jason Tatum, um, Trey Young. I feel like these are all players, and I'm not saying these guys are going to be the face of the league. All of these guys, but what I'm saying is I feel like there is the same amount, and maybe if not even more personality nowadays because you have the opportunity to show it. I know every time I hear people talk about basketball back in the day, they'd say like the NBA would put you in a box. It's like we don't want you doing anything else. Just be a basketball player. We don't want you doing podcasts on the side. We don't want you doing this. We don't want you doing commercials. But nowadays, it's like all about expanding your brand and expanding what you got going on. So I say all that to say, um, who I think the next face of the league is. It's gonna eventually be Wemby, but for right now, I think it's gonna be Anthony Edwards. He's a young American, I guess, somewhat relatable. I mean, not a lot of people can relate to Wemby, but somewhat relatable, funny guy that they can market. But to your point, Sean, I don't know. I feel like there might be more personality nowadays. But tell me, I could be wrong. Please tell me.
Uh, I think, yeah, I should correct myself there, Johnny, because I think you're right. Like as far as local regions, I think regionally each team does have like a marketable guy. There's no doubt about that. But I think what Joe was trying to allude to was who's going to be the face of the NBA, where you see them in all the commercials, you see them on maybe daytime TV doing spot interviews, just being out there as the face of the league. Like so for Magic and Bird did that in the 80s, and then Mike Charles Barkley and the Indiana Bros and the New York Bros, they did that for, and then it was Penny Hardaway. Penny had the little Penny with Chris Rock commercials that were pretty cool. And then Kobe and LeBron had the puppets like that. Those were great. And then Kobe left, and LeBron took the mantle. And I think what Joe is saying is, who's going to take the mantle from LeBron and be in all the Sprite commercials, McDonald's commercials? Who's going to promote the NBA from an educational information? Like, who's going to carry on the tradition of the NBA, understanding its history? And it seems like a lot of guys are just caught. I think you're right to an extent, John, but I also think a lot of guys are just caught up in that it's 2024, and I don't really need to care about what happened in 1984 and 1994. I think that's where Joe was coming from. A player having not only a sense of the present, but also a sense of history to carry on the tradition of the NBA. And yeah, it's that one's hard for me to see, because I think a lot of it also has to do with guys with the way the NBA markets the product as well, Joe. They've decided to put all their eggs in the digital basket, and a lot of the highlights are just like dunks or amazing threes. You're not seeing a breakdown of why a great offense like in Cleveland is working right now, because nobody cares about Kenny Atkinson running flash posts with Mobley, or he's allowing Spida to actually run the point from the two if Darius Garland doesn't have a great matchup. Like, it's just small stuff like that. But Johnny, you got a good point there. I agree. There are marketable superstars. I just think I'm more in line with Joe when he's saying there are, but Adam Silver isn't squeezing all the juice.
I like that. I agree with that. Question for you guys, and you guys tell me this really quick. Somebody said it in the chat. I'm trying to find. Oh, search and destroy. Great chat, brother. He said honestly, more people are not getting cable or satellite either. Do you guys think that that's part of due? Because I could no. Okay, tell me why.
No, here's something I'm going to correlate since Mr. Silver mentioned the election. I'm gonna tail into that real quick, and it's not gonna be specific to any political information. It's more of the avenues and where to market that were the difference. So there was a lot of talk about certain marketing platforms. What's changed in the last 30 years in terms of platforms? The mainstream media, i.e., NBC, Fox, CBS, ABC,
like the big four, the big
Big
five.
Four, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of the causes and effect of results in politics were geared towards some factions going with played out, rundown marketing platforms versus those who went to the Times. The Times are podcasts, the Joe Rogan shows, things like that. I'll just leave it at that because if I veer off into other things, then this thing might get.
Oh, it's true, Joe. Though, because 200 audio reaches 240 million Americans. That's more than TV.
And we talk about this on the show a lot about why it's
Gerald?
much. Hey, Gerald, how you doing?
Good, guys. But wait, first thing I want to say in the chat, come on, guys, 11 likes and there's 38 of you watching. I mean, that's as pathetic as the Lakers output that was tonight. Come on, be better. You guys could be better. If you want this channel to survive and grow, you guys got to help us out by liking and subscribing to the channel. It's just that simple. The Lakers suck tonight. I get that, but don't take it out on us. Please like what we do here.
So I have it's a funny George Karl is. You all know who George Karl is, and you all know how he is. So he had a quote. What's it? He said, "Feelings on whatever on the election aside, last week was a statement of change." Now, yeah, there's a statement of change in the culture of things. How that correlates with sports or entertainment stuff is you have to know which areas to promote, what's going to help bring in fans. Unfortunately, in this culture, this climate, anytime somebody sneezes over here and it's not where their area is, all of a sudden the first thing here, it doesn't matter which side, or up or down or left or right, it's always, oh, done. You know, it's like, dude, you need someone out there to put things in perspective, and they have to articulate it. It's slowly kind of coming out. It's not like all. It's not all coming like it should be normal. And Adam Silver has to figure out a way to find his promoters. His promoters are the players. This is why I'm frustrated with what's going on with the current collective bargaining agreement. He's trying to run this like the NFL. Stop being like the NFL, please. There is 124-year history of the way the NFL works. It doesn't work in basketball. There's not enough talent to be a team popular, spread out in 30 teams league. It doesn't work like that. The NBA has limited megastars. A star can come out of the 6th round and be the greatest player, arguably, of all time. You're not going to really see that in this NBA in a 7th round or 8th round or whatever. It's 2 rounds. And you've had one guy in the last 70 plus years in the NBA who's bucked the trend. But no one's ever going to look at Jokic, even if he wins 6 MVPs. They're still never going to look at Jokic as a guy in the top 5. It's never going to happen. It's just what it is. You can't. How are you going to put them above Wilt and Kareem and Jordan and LeBron and Kobe's and all those guys and Magics? It's just not. It's not there. It's fair or not fair. And we have been hinting at these issues without going into full-blown information on everything. And we're going to have to continue to do this because we got to see what's going on here. Was it something else that didn't help the ratings? Folks, I have friends that don't watch basketball anymore. I'm talking about people that used to be with me throughout the 90s and the 2000s when we would watch. Now they don't give a damn. Now I know that a lot of them got married and they died in their marriage because that's what happens half the time because men just end up just taking their balls out. They just put it in the purse or hammock or whatever it is that they do in their life with their significant others. Yeah, I'm clowning on them because it's public now, and I want them to feel it. It's either that or the fact that maybe it is a boring game, and it is, guys. Tonight's game, honestly, if I wasn't on playback, I don't even know if I would have watched this after the first quarter. It was absolutely dreadfully boring.
They should be thanking their lucky stars they played the Jazz tonight, because if they even played a 500 team, Joe, they would have gotten their butts kicked.
Yeah, Gerald, we would have been ran out of that gym in the third quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's probably why they played that way. It's probably why they played that way. And what can you do at this point? What is it they can do? They're strapped. And I did notice. I've been noticing it though, but I really noticed it today. The short amount of time I saw, I didn't even have to hear him talk. I could just see JJ Redick's face. I have a question for you, Gerald, since you just came on, and then you can go ahead and continue with Sean and John.
By the way, are you doing a?
Yes.
Postgame?
Yes.
Okay.
Jeremy is not feeling well, and he asked me to do one. Otherwise, I wouldn't have done one. What was my question?
Sorry.
About JJ Redick.
Thank you. Is JJ Redick going to last? Not with the Lakers, like coaching.
Yes,
Well,
for sure.
again,
What makes you think not?
He looks like he is tired already. Like over it tired. Not tired physically or meant like he still your hair looks good, but his aura's like. Now when I say that, I don't mean like he's gonna stop coaching. Is he going to say in a few years, like, screw this, I'm going somewhere where I can win?
Like Steve.
Like Steve Kerr. Like does he go to San Antonio like Mike Dunleavy left the Lakers to go to Milwaukee? That kind of thing back in the 90s.
Well, he still needs to feel his way out because he has proven over the course of the past few games he has still got a lot to learn when it comes to coaching, because he's shown some decent things, but there's still some things he's got to learn, especially on the defensive end. Plus, his halftime adjustments have been something left to be desired so far this season. It's just not been really pleasant to watch, especially in the past few games. But he's for a rookie coach, he's taking his lumps now. So if he does develop and get better, yeah, he might want to jet on out, especially if the front office gives him the kind of lack of support that they've been giving him. But we saw tonight, guys. Yes, the Lakers were terrible for most of the game, but if LeBron and AD aren't playing well, Dalton, if he's not shooting well, they don't have a whole lot behind them, and especially with 4 guys out of the rotation tonight due to either injury or illness. You can see the lack of depth get in there. I mean, Gabe Vincent, everybody's talking about Gabe Vincent being, oh yeah, he got into double figures. Yeah, a solid game from Gabe. It's the first time as a Laker he's gotten into double figures. That's how sad it is for him so far. And Max Christie, oh yeah, he was aggressive. Yes, he was. Got to the line a lot. How many points he scored? 12. All right. So it's okay. Nothing great. But yes, if Dalton's not having a good game, or AD or LeBron are not having a good game, this team is in a lot of trouble. And thank goodness, again, they were playing a Jazz team tonight, but we see the flaws. And when you have 4 rotation guys out of the lineup tonight, it makes that team so much worse when you're playing a JHS, Armel Traore, some of these guys that are just, a lot of the G League players that, you guys all want to play them now. You want them to play in the game now, right away, and all that. But these guys aren't ready in some cases, and in some others, they just aren't good at all. And we see that.
So, Sean, I'm not asking you to solve the NBA's ratings issue, but again, you've this is the first show I've had with you in a while here, and I had been discussing the new CBA for a while here while you were gone. How are they going to get out of this? This last CBA, I actually had a chance to read some of it too. I haven't read all 700 pages, whatever the hell it is yet, but this thing gets worse the more I read into it. What were they thinking? They've ruined. And don't you find it funny? Because I know you pay attention to the NFL. Don't you find it funny that this year's NFL deadline felt like an NBA deadline a little bit for the first time? I mean, seriously, why? Why would you do this? The one and two things that you owned, you ruined, all in the name so that you can cater to the owners of the Charlotte Hornets, the Atlanta Hawks, the Orlando Magic. Like, really? Is that what you did it for? And why did the Genies and the Dolans, why did they allow this? Do they care, or do they just want to make money? Is that what it is?
Mm-hmm.
So tell me how they could figure this out. Is this premature? Do we need to let it kind of simmer? I don't know.
It's gotta marinate for another, I'd at least say another season and a half, Joe, before we can make any kind of real determination. But yeah, it looks kind of diluted right now. Very watered down. They've watered down the orange drink at your kids' I don't know, play rehearsal, whatever it is. That's what it feels like, and it's gonna take a little bit. I mean, so you can make a reasonable excuse that, yeah, the elections. I wouldn't even have brought the World Series into it. That wasn't affecting, you know, watching the Kings versus the Blazers on TNT Thursday night. Like that, they also have to do a better job of. They know who's hurt and who's not, Joe. Like the Sixers this year were kind of a surprise because they stink to high heaven, and even high heaven wouldn't take that stink. But other than that, they knew that Kawhi was not going to be playing early on. They knew that Embiid had problems with injuries, and yet they marketed these teams early on TNT. I'm not sure why. Like that, they know themselves what the issues are, and like that, thank goodness that Ernie, Shaq, Kenny, and Charles are going to be back. Gerald, I believe ABC is going to take on that responsibility now. But having said that, they've also done their part to try and isolate and turn away fans by Charles constantly saying, "Who would watch this crap?" And saying, "Sorry, America," and we apologize, America. It's like, you're being paid handsomely to promote and advance the game that's paid you well. And I think it shouldn't be underestimated, Joe. There's a lot of ego involved here. A lot of ego involved because a few years ago, the NBA was kind of sitting in the catbird seat after the COVID championship. The ratings had taken a slight turn. There was a turnaround happening, and yet something's happened between then and now that's completely diluted America's interest in the game, in the NBA game. Because in 1998, I believe 38 million people tuned in to watch Game 6 between the Bulls and the Jazz, and that was a third. That was 1/3 of all households watching that game. And now, lucky if you get what, Gerald, a 2.5, maybe a 3 on a really good night.
Anywhere from 2 to 4 million if you're lucky.
Yeah. So I something's happened here, and you know what? can't blame the smartphones either, because that's taken us all for a ride. So they really need to huddle together, Joe, and try and figure out how we can get this back to where we're not circling the drain in America's interest.
Joe, you're being an absolute splendid host tonight, and you're being great to everyone, letting everyone get the floor. But what about you, my brother? What do you think? I know you said to Sean, I don't want you to deal with the NBA's rating problem. But you know what, Joe? No, I want you to deal with the NBA's rating problem, Joe. Joe, if Adam Silver just knocked on your freaking door and said, "Help me! I don't know what to do." What do you do, Joe? What do you do?
I don't know if he can do anything anymore. I think this current schedule screwed it up. What they should have done was they should have embraced what they were really good at. The anticipation part of certain NBA events was enormous. You had people that were interested in things that were going to happen in the summer and in the middle of February of all months when you would have owned February, right? They owned February. NFL finished first week of February, and then the deadline's not too long after that. And then March Madness comes later, and it's even later in March. So you had that area, and you ruined it. And then free agency, when it's kind of in the middle of baseball season, not everybody's invested in baseball that time even. You own that. You already ruined those two things. So how do you make all that work? Jeez, it's going to have to be a set of tasks that it's going to take now a minute to reverse. And that is, you're going to have to figure out a way. I don't know if you can amend certain things in the CBA to allow more transactions. That would be the first step I'd make. The fact that I guarantee you, if the CBA didn't do what it did, we would have had more trades going on right now with bigger with bigger players like this last year or so. The Super Max was a huge derailment of all that, because now guys are not going to leave where they're going. As soon as they make an All-NBA team, they know they're going to get their Supermax qualification. They're going to stay where they are. There's going to be a few out there that say no. Very few that will say, I don't want the Supermax. I want to go to this team. That always happens every now. There's always exception to the rule. But the rule says a lot of movement is going to stop. And then you gotta figure out a way to market your people. So here's something that's gonna. This is a culture shifting thing, and I don't know when it's gonna finally get back to normal. I was saying how whenever someone takes a political or a social side, they don't know how to do it. They don't know how to Joe Rogan it. See, Joe Rogan mastered that. It's possible to do, but you need that guy to know how to do it. Kind of be in the middle. So if Adam Silver wants to get more people at eyes on the NBA, the newer generation, the newer viewer, or maybe bring back the old viewer, you're gonna need to send your best players to these kind of shows. Late night is done, folks. Late night is dying. Forget about Jay Leno and Jimmy Kimmel and Like, stop. Like, that's what the dumbasses were doing. They thought that mattered, especially with. And I like Jimmy Fallon, and Kimmel unfortunately has taken a certain way on his, and he screwed himself up. His ratings are down too. You have to kind of model yourself as the Joe Rogan of this next generation. You got to be that guy in terms of how you market. That's what people are paying attention to. And I don't know if there's any stars out there that are going to embrace that December 5th game on at 4:00 and make you watch. Kobe made you watch a Toronto Raptor game after Championship Sunday, and look what he gave you. You don't see that anymore. And I have a lot of respect for LeBron. I don't know if he said this. I actually just heard this. if he wants to play all 82 games, I have a lot of respect for him for that, because now he's telling everyone, I'm here to make sure you get your money's worth. Yes, we know they're probably not going to win a championship. Yes, we know he might not be able to do it because he's probably going to blow a tire at some point here because he's got everything on his shoulders, him and AD. But the fact that he said it and he wants to do it, I already have a lot of respect for him, because that it right there. And Ant, before he kind of went tomfoolery this last year and change, he was saying that too. I'm going to be available. I'm going to do my thing, to make sure that people get their money's worth. That's kind of another thing that needs to start happening. But the Joel Embiids, and unfortunately Jokic is just not a marketable guy. He's very similar to Larry Bird in terms of personality. But what made Bird engaging is the fact that he came in at the perfect time on the perfect team with Magic Johnson being the engine.
He was a polar opposite to the NBA's bright light, which made him easily marketable against him. It was just natural oil and water, Joe.
And here's the other thing. He was like that at the beginning, like in 1979, 80, when he won Rookie of the Year, 81 when he won the championship. And then you started the best story of the Larry Bird, Magic Johnson relationship and how the NBA flourished was when they did that Converse commercial. So let's get back to what we were saying. They're not using the right medium. And Larry Bird's not stupid. He knew, and he took it upon himself to be the guy, even though he hated the spotlight. He still said, look, man, I'm sure he said this. Look, I know I'm a big part of this thing, and I want to contribute. And he did. And look what happened when they did the commercial at his place. He ended up inviting Magic to his house. They had lunch. He met his mother, and then look what happened after that.
Well, not only that, Joe. I love Irvin. Converse made the cooler shoe for Larry, Gerald. The black Converse was the better shoe, but nobody wanted to wear it because it was associated with Larry Bird.
That sucks because I wear black.
So do I.
Everything is black. I'm not going to wear white with gold and purple, right? Like that's not what I do unless it's a Laker jersey or shirt, and definitely not shoes. So that's the rub.
And I heard that they originally came to Magic with the idea for the black shoe. He said, "No, I'll give it to Larry. Like I could sell the white Converse." So he actually gave Larry the cooler shoe.
Because he's kind of the dark knight, and Magic was the white knight, and I say that in terms of not complexion. I say that in terms of personality.
Yeah, you just mean personality.
Right.
That's right.
And that's what it was. Magic is a bright light. He's the white knight. He's the nice person, the teeth, all that stuff, right? The smile. Bird was supposed to be the Sith Lord, and he played that character. And I think also that played that what I was saying about the kind of the middle ground area, because usually middle ground has always been known as like a sellout area in life. Like, dude, make a decision. But we don't live in that world anymore. We don't live in that world where you can go one way and be, okay, well, that's just how he goes. Now it's like, dude, you're screwing things up going all the way over there. We need this to be a little closer. And the NBA right now, this new setup that they have, I don't know what's going to happen. It doesn't sound good unless I'm wrong and it needs to settle itself. And then we end up finding out that there is ways to manipulate it. That's what people are pissed off right now with baseball, is the fact that there's a lot of these contracts are deferred. And for some weird reason, all of a sudden deferment payment is a big thing now. Folks, the New York Mets have been deferring Bobby Bonilla's contract for 80 years. It's still going on. This isn't new. Wake up, So we got to wait to see if there's some kind of stipulation or some kind of, again, workaround on the current setup, because even the like 5 years ago, how they were trading and they were able to choose, oh, well, we'll decide later that we want to pick 2025 as the first pick versus 2024. Like, I don't remember that 5-6 years ago. That was new. Oh, you can swap. I'm like, what the swap? What's swap? I didn't know what the hell swap was 5-6 years ago.
Speaking of the game tonight, Gerald, let me ask you a question. Who do you think is in the pole position for the flag sweepstakes, the Jazz or the Wizards?
I'd say the Wizards.
Oh,
I'd say the Wizards would be
okay.
my. Although, actually, you know what? I'll say the Jazz because the Jazz play in the tougher conference overall. More teams want to win in that conference than in the Eastern Conference. Although it's funny, I'm just reading the SB Nation because I'm looking for a JPEG for tonight, and I'm looking at SB Nation. Talk about us being harsh. Talk about us being harsh. Look at the if you go to SB Nation for the Lakers game, look at what their tagline is. Gabe Vincent goes supernova with 10 points as shorthanded Lakers win in Utah. You think we're harsh about Gabe Vincent? That is truly harsh. No worries, Serge. I thought that was just funny. But yeah,
somebody in one of the Jazz posts said Will Hardy just Lakered himself.
Yes, because of the timeout and all that. I mean, that tells you. It was Jeremy who was asking about, aren't the Jazz tanking? Well, the players themselves, because they're playing for their NBA futures, except for Markkanen, really don't want to go ahead and give any less effort. It's up to the coach and the front office to make sure that they put the people in the wrong places in order to make it not look like they're tanking, but they are tanking. And one of the things that you saw tonight with Will Hardy and that timeout call and all that, and how that, just like upended the ending of the game for them, pretty much shows that, yeah, those mistakes are what tanking is all about. And thank goodness we played the Jazz. 4 rotation players down tonight. You could see the lack of depth on the Lakers team, but you know what? A win's a win. We'll take it. AD finally, after he got off to a terrible start. Do you guys remember that? That's an absolutely terrible start, but he turned it on. LeBron, I know what we all say about LeBron, and again, I'm right there with you, but I don't want to put any stress into it because he's here as long as he wants to be, whether we like it or not, and for as much money as he wants to have. And again, I don't want to put any more stress into it because if I do, it just, my hair will fall out. So I don't need that. So it's stresses my life. I don't worry about it. I know a lot of you guys still worry about it. Still see the comments every day about LeBron. It is what it is. He for every time he's going to get mad and yell at the refs or whatnot, and not go back on defense. He did that 2 times in a row and gave up 5 points. Yeah, that's what you get in return is you got a double for a guy that's going to turn 40 later this month. It is what it. But the one thing I do want to say, and this came on before you said, Sean Grice, before you came on, the comment was made by Joe Ingles is that Kobe never argued with the refs, and I'm like,
Kobe argued with the refs, but he never left his teammates.
Well, yeah, again, I never said he never did, but I said he did argue with the refs. So I showed video just to prove that point. But he did hustle back. He did hustle back on defense to prove that point. He would argue on the other end. He wouldn't argue on the end that was on the offense. He argued when he came back on defense and chewed the refs out there and called them some very. I
want to make a point here too. This Kobe thing pops up because everybody likes to remember shit, right? Yeah. They don't remember the good stuff when people.
They put Kobe.
It's going to happen to LeBron too. LeBron's gonna retire the next 5, 6, 1,700 years, and then all of a sudden, we're never going to hear about LeBron and how he would leave.
LeBron walked on water
break because he's mad about a call. Yeah. Everything's going to be peaches and ice cream and how oils.
Well, that's what I said, Empire Jeff. He did complain to the refs, but he waited to have to play. In fact, again, if you look at on YouTube, Kobe complaining to the refs, you're going to find some interesting things he said to the refs on that, as far as is concerned. I'll leave that to your imagination on what he did. because I shared that with playback.
And it's
tonight.
also good to
But
remember.
I just want to say this. Let me finish this, and you guys go back to what again. We put these guys on pedestals. Kobe is one of the greatest players of all time. Will always will be, absolutely bar none. But man, you guys put these guys on just pedestals like they can do no wrong, and they are human. And LeBron, after his after his days are done, like Joe said, in 10, 15 years when he's finally done with basketball, people are going to fondly remember him. Oh, he did such great things. Oh, he was such a great. He never quit on defense or anything like. All this stuff is going to be manufactured out there, and you know what? That's just not going to be the case. It's just like, again, one of the greatest players of all time, but everybody has their failings, Joe. Everybody has their flaws, and with LeBron, we are seeing a lot of those flaws now. And he gets mad, he gets frustrated. When you have mad LeBron out there, he starts doing it all by himself, 1-on-5, starts doing his ISO stuff. He gets angry, and you can see he wants the ball. He takes a shot. Sometimes it's reckless. Sometimes it makes him more aggressive, but it's not good team basketball when he gets that mad and upset. But at least it gets him motivated sometimes to start doing something he doesn't do very often, and that's play defense.
Yeah.
But for 2 or 3 plays, and then he goes right back to going ahead and.
It's a team game, and morons forget that. There's a lot of morons out there, folks. You see them every day, and they have no idea they're morons. They're that delusional. It's a team game. If this was a one-on-one game, if this was tennis or golf, you're talking about completely different lifestyles at that point. Then you can blame Tiger Woods for screwing up something because it's singular. But this is basketball with 5 guys on the court on your team, counting yourself. And then you have to cater to whomever comes off the bench as well. Football, even more so. Baseball's tougher than all of it. Baseball, your best player generally is going to only be able to give you 1 performance for every 9 performances. That's why it's hard. You have these. I'm sorry, I gotta do this. You have these fucking deadhead moron idiot fucking people out there who are they're just useless, they're just existing because they're so stupid. When someone doesn't play well for a couple games, oh, he didn't help his team win. Just like the whole thing with Ray Allen, the Ray Allen shot. How that there's this talk, oh, Ray Allen didn't make the shot. Like, this is the only time in the history of sports where the non-megastar didn't make a shot that mattered. John Taylor got the ball. He caught the ball in Super Bowl 23 to win the game. Does anybody know who the hell John Taylor is for the Niners? Very few people that are in the know, but most people don't. It wasn't Jerry Rice. Jerry Rice won MVP of the Super Bowl. Joe Montana was the star at that point, right? But it was John Taylor who caught the game-winning touchdown on that last drive. And we all think this stuff only happens today. That's how stupid people are. Oh, Ohtani didn't do anything to help the Dodgers win the World Series. Oh, really? Oh, who was scoring when it went 2-2? Who had a productive out in game 1 before they had to walk Mookie and send Freeman there to send the ball out? And then all of a sudden it's Brett Boone. He put in Nestor. He had pitched in a month. Hey, stupid. He got out the most dangerous baseball player since Babe Ruth in his prime, with everything going his way on 1 pitch, and you all forgot that. Oh, Tim Hill. If you had put in Tim Hill, we would have won. Oh, Tim Hill would have saved the day. You know that, right? So I'm using that as an example since Mr. Silver decided to use baseball as
you mean Rich Hill
on why the NBA is sucking ass. 28% is a bad number, folks.
It's a huge number.
That is a bad number. If it was 8%, it would have been bad. 28%? What the world is telling you, even if the World Series and the elections were there, they're basically telling you that basketball doesn't matter. You know what I did during election? By the way, you didn't have a game to know. You started that. Adam Silver started that. How are you going to have anybody care about about basketball when you said, "Oh, I'm just going to let people do their thing on that day"? No,
that's such a good point. Oh my God!
The NFL wants to destroy Black Friday now. They want to destroy you, and they did. They own the trade deadline now, the one that you owned for 30 years. Now they own it.
Well, the Raiders with that fumble destroyed Black Friday. They did that. I don't know.
That was, oh God! I was at my cousin's house. I was sitting. I swear, this is exactly what I did, because I'm like, man, Carlson's gonna make up for this. Just don't screw it up. I said it just like that. I said, don't screw up. Don't fumble. Don't, like, no one would have thought a snap like that, right? And I'm like, just don't screw it up. Get one more pass. Get him there. It's so poetic that he missed all those kicks. He's going to make this one and stick it up their butt and sweep them for the year.
I love the slow-mo on that one. That was so terrific. Boink!
And then you know why I wanted the Raiders to win that
Hilarious.
game? I'm so tired of it's part of the script. It's part of the script. Part of the script. So Vegas has every NFL player and coach and center and guard and assistant coaches and refs all in their pocket just dictating all this, right?
It was hilarious. I think Pierce should be fired. I really do.
No.
He's a rah-rah guy, but he's not an X's and O's guy.
The problem is I heard that O'Connell did this, something like this. I didn't see it, and
yeah, he did this, and then
he looked. No, he did this.
No, I'm just talking about the fact that overall,
that's fine.
Pierce,
that's fine.
2-10, Joe.
Doing this while watching your center is fine, but when you do this, it's not so good. You can't see the ball when you do this.
They're 2-10 for a reason, Joe. A lot of that's good.
Well, Joe and everyone else in here that.
No, I'm happy. We're on our way to the number 1 pick. Go Giants.
That so deeply care about baseball. I mean, sorry, not baseball. Football.
Anyway, moving on. Gerald, the Lakers have a center problem at this point because Jackson Hayes' ankle is about as wobbly as a dreidel. And I don't think he's going to be healthy at any point this year. But the problem is you don't have anybody in South Bay right now on a 2-way contract that's a center. And the guy that you did sign to an Exhibit 10 contract, Kyler Kelly, is playing extremely well for South Bay, but you can't sign him to a 2-way, but somebody else can.
Yep.
And John, who's the last center the Lakers had in South Bay that's now playing a vital role in the NBA?
Zubac.
Jay Huff.
Zubac never played. I think he might have played for.
Yeah, I think he did.
When he was back on the bench in his first year for the Lakers.
But somebody's going to end up signing Kyler Kelly here, Gerald. He's playing extremely well, and he's going to get a shot in the NBA. Unfortunately, it's not going to be us.
Isaiah Wong just got signed.
So yes, he did.
And he was the actual, wasn't he the same number pick the year before that Bronny was this year?
Yes. So, Interesting. Mm-hmm. Yeah, wait. So that Bronny pick is looking more and more dubious.
Well, again, I have some friends that follow the Knicks, and I just say, there you go. One of the great ones right there. But
Johnny, you had something to say. I'm sorry, Gerald. I wanted to get John in this.
Yeah, let's get John in here. That's absolutely.
You were going to say something. Go ahead and.
No, you're all good. I was because we were
going to talk. You're going to ask us about football.
Yes, we're on along the lines of football, and I was just going to say, get your thoughts on that whole hit earlier. that guy, that Trevor Lawrence guy, got smacked. That was crazy.
You can't
Oh, yeah.
expect
That was uncalled for. He was sliding and he went head first.
So here's the deal with hits in the NFL. If you don't go full throttle, you risk allowing anyone, especially quarterbacks, to get an extra yard. And what the NFL is trying to get defenders to do is they're trying to get defenders to say, we don't want you to save that yard or two. We want you to let the quarterback make it through. And when you're ready to destroy something, sometimes you don't have enough time to go back. And I saw the play and I didn't see it the second or third time. Maybe if I see it more than once, I might look at it differently. But I'm sorry, if you're obsessed with protecting the quarterback, as soon as that quarterback turns into a running back, I'm sorry, you can't force defenders to all of a sudden pull back at the last second. It's not going to work. And that's how I feel about it. There's just no way. You have to give up on the play before the play is over. And that will allow the quarterback to do what he wants. If you think if you're going to assume the quarterback's going to slide, what if they don't? My view on it, and not on this particular play in general, I look at it as this. If Patrick Mahomes is going to run, I'm taking him out. I'm taking him out. Not illegally, but I'm focused on taking him out. Because if I take Patrick Mahomes out, there's an advantage, even if it means me being out. You want to protect the quarterback in the pocket. You don't want him being slammed. You don't want him to go at the guy's knees. Fine, but you come into my domain, I'm coming after you. And there's not enough talk of that with these player associations. Everybody's again focused on the money. They're not focused on the quality of the game. The running back supposedly is back. Why? I think the marketing is trying to get that going. I've noticed that. Just the same guys that are trying to tell me, the guy that watches football, not just sits there and slams his ham while he's watching. I'm talking about I'm actually watching. I'm actually paying attention. Those who are trying to tell me that Lamar Jackson is an MVP are the ones that are telling me now that the running back is back because now Saquon Barkley's playing like an MVP. King Henry is an. I'm like looking at these statistics. I'm going, Josh Jacobs had better numbers when he led the league in rushing. Why all of a sudden in 2024? Oh, is the NFL trying to make the running back relevant? Well, maybe you should have thought about that before you made every fucking rule about the quarterback. And do you care? I don't think you care. You're getting a bill a year from that monstrosity of an app that we have to watch. You know what sucks about that app? I can't watch other games. I can't watch the Lakers and an NFL game because you're a stupid fucking app. Because it's a different input. So now I gotta sit there like an asshole watching the game like this and then watching something on TV. All the shit that you were made to make easier, you made it harder. And then I gotta depend the quality on an internet connection. For those of you who don't know, I don't know if you know this, I don't know if it's like this in Canada, Sean. It's monopolized here. They only let you go with 2 real internet places. They have these jerk off
It's like
internet
that here,
setups.
Joe.
They have these jerk off internet setups. They're like, well, go with this, and it's the internet of the future or whatever. I'm like, no. I want in-ground internet shit. The only in-ground shit is here. Okay, and it's 2. They give you 2. So now what? Now I gotta watch. What's the game tomorrow? Browns and who?
The Broncos?
Broncos? What's with the NFL and these lame ass games in prime time? There used to be a cutoff on that. You didn't see the Jets on Monday night for almost 20 years because they sucked ass. Now I gotta watch the Browns and the Broncos on a Monday. Who the hell's watching this shit? No one's listening to you, Gerald.
Somebody that likes Bo Nix.
I like Bo Nix. I think he's cool, but he ain't that guy yet.
Okay.
But the Browns suck ass. Who the hell wants to watch the Browns? You want to watch Jameis Winston and his sermons before the game? Somebody asked him a question. How you doing today, Jameis? The horses are coming.
That weird.
They're arriving through the gates. We are here together.
Did he like change his life around? Because wasn't he like having sex with a whole bunch of like massage people? Or
No, that was
like
Deshaun Watson.
Oh, okay.
And no, they were not having sex with him. They were doing the "I'm getting out of here" talk while he was like, "No, you're not." Allegedly. Anyways,
that whole franchise has gotten weird. The whole weird elf thing as their mascot. That weird elf, Brownie.
They're better off, honestly. I would have cut.
That's some weird stuff going on in Cleveland with pepper spray and. Gotta love Ohio, Gerald. Let's bring pepper spray to a football game. Yeah, we don't have any ill intent.
Well, it's funny. I was at my cousins. They're all Michigan fans, and they're all from Detroit. And I'm watching. Of course, I liked it.
Of course, you love mayhem.
Now, when I was looking at Ryan Day had that look like let the world burn. You could just see him, like he was so over it. And I was laughing at that. And then all of a sudden I see two Michigan Wolverine players going like this. I'm like, everybody's talking, having a good time. They're jumping in pools, Michigan flags. I'm like, whoa, hold on. What the hell happened? I go, did they get maced?
Yeah, they did.
I was dying laughing. I was like, did they get maced before anybody found out that somebody got maced? And the reason why, for those of you who don't know, because this wasn't the only little ruckus last night or yesterday. I guess everybody decided that yesterday was we're going to plant our flag in the middle of the field day if we beat the home team. Is that what was going on, Sean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, folks, I saw T.O. put the ball on the star. Very, very creative. Probably the best thing T.O. has ever done. Although I did like the pom-pom thing too. But I think where T.O. screwed up in that is he should have left it at that. Going back, you should have known there was going to be retaliation.
Joe, trivia question. Who was the player who knocked T.O. on his ass when he tried to go to midfield the second time?
I remember. I remember who it was. The name is striking. I remember his face. I forgot his name, but I remember his face.
George Teague.
George Teague played for the Packers. Yeah. It was. He should not have gone that second time. He should not have gone the second time. He made his. At that time at Texas Stadium, they had the little opening there. It was perfect.
So I'm not sure if you guys had a chance to. I've posted it in the chat, but Alan Wells from the Bleacher Report has reported that Sean Marks of the Brooklyn Nets has told every GM in the NBA that everybody's available on my roster.
We were talking about it during the playback, and I thought, because people seem to be infatuated on bringing back Schroeder back. That's fine. Can you bring Cam Johnson along with him?
Yes.
But Alan was saying that makes the team smaller, and it does. But, Johnson's 6'9". I'd trade Rui and, also I think you would need Rui and D'Lo for sure. I don't know if it's a middling trade Does it make the Lakers any better? I'm not sure it does, but yeah, it's something I could be interested in because Cam Johnson is a guy who can light it up from the outside on occasion.
I go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, Claxton and Cam Johnson, I think they make close to 50. They're almost like 50
A
million.
Rui and D'Lo deal would be the same as getting Schroeder and Cam Johnson. That one I worked out during the playback.
Would they want to trade Claxton, and would that make a difference?
Would they want to? They would want picks attached to it at that point.
Right. So there'd be protected picks going that way, but would that be enough? I think those salaries are too big.
Let's look at it. I'll look it out on the trade machine.
So Claxton this year makes 27. He'll make 25 next year.
Oh yeah, he's
23.
He's
yeah.
That's too much for him.
Cam Johnson, 3 years, $65 million deal. That is workable for the Lakers.
Yeah, that's too much for Claxton. That's almost 30 mil a year for Claxton.
It's too much for Nick Claxton. If he shot over 60% from the line, maybe. But I mean, he's a bad free throw shooter, and we do not need another one of those on the team either.
He's just going to frustrate you guys, by the way, when he's shooting free throws. That's going to be a problem. But yeah, he's good defensively. It would be nice if he actually his lower body or lower frame was actually a little bit stronger. But yeah, the kid can block shots, can provide some defense time to time. But man, almost $30 million for a guy like that. I don't know. Joe.
And DFS has a player option on 25-26. So no, thank you.
He's been exceedingly mediocre at best, I think, on the Brooklyn Nets, and that for a team that is that bad, 9-12 on the season. Yeah, that's
now, Gerald. Sometimes there's this trade where you trade a guy in the last year of his contract for another player in the last year of his contract. Now, just saying, Cam Thomas is out a few weeks with a hamstring injury. Mm-hmm. He's also in the top 10, Gerald, in fourth quarter scoring.
Oh, he's a great scorer. I have him on my fantasy team.
So Joe, the Lakers' top fourth quarter scorer is LeBron James. He's 23. He's 23rd out of 25 of the top fourth quarter scorers. If he sits in any game, Joe, you know that it's kind of like throwing in the towel for the game, because LeBron's really our focal point in the fourth quarter for getting buckets. AD can do it at times, but LeBron is the man in the fourth quarter. You add a guy like Cam Thomas, you add a guy like Cam Johnson, you get the Cam twins on the Lakers, you add a little bit of scoring punch. Sure, Allen, yeah, we lose a little bit of size, but I'd sacrifice that size for more versatility, because I know for a fact that I could play Cam Johnson beside Anthony Davis and LeBron James. I know that. He could fit like a glove between those two guys. And Cam Thomas is a scorer. Let him do his thing. I'd be perfectly content of having Austin Reeves at the point if Cam Thomas or Dalton Connect was at the 2. I actually think bringing in a guy like Cam Thomas and or Cam Johnson adds a little bit of spice and variety to your offense, Gerald, which we badly need. JJ badly needs another guy he could put the ball in his hands and drop a play for.
Well, it's just interesting to see. I mean, because, so many people now are depending on Connect in our chat on playback. I'm a huge fan of Connect's game and whatnot, but I understand his limitations. And now, I mean, as Joe has said before, he's a rookie. How much can you really depend on rookie? He's going to have games like this. It's just that simple. He's going to have games like this. And it's up to the Lakers to go ahead and try to find other ways to win. We did tonight. That's a positive. Against a team, again, like the Jazz, that's fine. We'll take the wins when we can get them. They're 12-8. Still, sixth place in the Western Conference. Let's go ahead
Yep.
and see what they got. Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but it's a hard no on Ben Simmons.
Oh no,
It's-
there's no way. No, don't even worry about Ben Simmons. Brooklyn doesn't want to trade him. He is one of the most untradeable guys that's out there right now. Untradeable. You don't want to know why? $40 million coming off your books. You okay? You want that? Send some number ones to Brooklyn, because there's no way that right now they've had to deal with for years this travesty known as the Ben Simmons contract. It is now finally going to pay off for them as far as getting $40 million off their books. So if you want Ben Simmons, you're going to have to pay a lot for him.
They're one of the more interesting teams now because they're basically at 500 in an Eastern Conference that's pretty watered down. And Gerald, those juicy first round picks that they got from the Rockets, you're probably looking at anywhere from being the 15th to maybe 23rd, 24th pick overall, depending on how well Houston does this year. So you're looking at a couple of middling first round picks. They need talent, or they need, like you said, they need picks. So it's going to be interesting to see what leverage Marks uses here, because Gerald, we saw what Cam Johnson could do on the Phoenix Suns. I know when a lot of guys get traded from contenders and they go to pretenders, it's kind of the sundown of their spotlight. Don't get a lot of pub. Cam Johnson is a really effective player, and if the Lakers don't acquire him, I'm telling you, you guys know, the chat knows, somebody else is going to acquire him, and they're going to be better off for it, because he is a very useful NBA player.
Yeah, good point. So,
Well,
Joe,
folks,
are you doing a
yeah, I'm going to do a nightcap here. Sean, you're welcome to come on. I'm going to go get a beverage for the nightcap.
I got a question for you once you get on the nightcap, because if that's meant for nightcap.
So let's officially go to the nightcap here in a couple minutes. For those of you on the post game that won't be on the nightcap, the Lakers win 105-104 in one of the more boring games.
Send me the link, Joe.
So far, I think we're going to stay on here.
We're going to stay on this one now. We don't do separate shows now. We just keep it. I just hit the intro for it.
Today would have been good. Today would have been good because I could leave and come back. And it's probably going to happen probably when baseball season comes back on. So, because I think it's starting to look like I'm going to have to do baseball. But anyways, I'll be back here. I'll be back here in a couple minutes. Gerald, kind of send us off here, and then I'll continue into the nightcap, and then you can ask me what you want to ask me after.
You got it.
Thank you.
Well, something relating to you, my friend. So yeah, definitely we'll go ahead and hit Joe up on that question here coming up here in just a couple minutes. But once again, the Lakers do win 105-104. They escape Salt Lake City with the victory. Definitely looking forward to seeing what they could do on this road trip, because I think it will go a long way to either legitimize what we had said, many of us, during the course of the preseason in regards to what the Lakers are, or could we be wrong and maybe the Lakers are a little bit better than what we thought. So yeah, definitely looking forward to seeing what is going on out there in regards to what the Lakers can do their upcoming schedule. Just wanted to let everybody know their next game, I believe, is on Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. Let's go ahead and look at it. No, it is Wednesday. My apologies. LA is at Miami, so they will be in South Beach in Miami on Wednesday. So looking forward to going ahead and providing you some shows in the interim on Monday and Tuesday. Oh, I'm sorry. They have a game tomorrow. My bad. They have a game tomorrow. My bad. Minnesota tomorrow. Minnesota's tomorrow at 5 p.m. So yes, they are playing a back-to-back. Oh joy. And Minnesota tomorrow. And then, of course, like I mentioned, on Wednesday, they'll be in Miami. So yes, we will see what happens. But yes, Minnesota tomorrow. We'll bring it all for you at 5 p.m. Pacific time. Just like that. playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break. So yes, definitely looking forward to seeing what's going to go on. There's Turd Ferguson himself. Yes, right there for you. But Sean, yes, it is Minnesota tomorrow on a back-to-back. Yay, oh yay. And the Lakers looked really rough today in getting the victory. So we'll see what happens tomorrow with a not too pleasant situation in Minnesota, a team that I thought was going to be better than they are currently right now, but they have looked a little bit better as of late. So we'll see what happens there. But your thoughts on Minnesota before we head over to the nightcap? Oh, this turd, by the way, Serge, this turd guy is always trouble, but we'll keep him around. We'll keep him around.
I'm with you, Gerald. I thought for sure Minnesota would again be competing for a top 3 seed in the West, and it's been a bit of a experimentation with Chris Finch. Early returns on the Cat trade, Gerald, are that it hasn't really worked out for the Knicks or the Wolves. There's just their second and third year players haven't really taken the jump I thought they would take. McDaniel's defense isn't as crisp as I've seen it, Gerald. I'm not sure what's happened there. Their team defense is not as strong as it once was. And I mean, the fans are noticing it too because they got booed off their home floor a few nights ago, and it wasn't lost on Anthony Edwards, who is as frustrated as anyone else with Minnesota's hum-ho attitude game to game. It seems like hopefully it doesn't start tomorrow, but unless they start stacking wins as they did last year, it's going to be a struggle for them to make it to a top 6 seed this year.
Well, again, if it's a top 4 seed by game 30, we'll find out what's going to go on. Joe and I will be eating some olives, but if that's going to be the case, it's going to be see a lot better effort than what we saw tonight. But again, the Lakers do get the victory, 105-104. Joe's got the glass in hand, so let me go ahead and set it up for you right now. Thanks for joining us on the Lakers Fast Break, but for now, it is the nightcap with Turd Ferguson, a.k.a. Sean Grice, and Joe Soro.
Turd Ferguson. Funny name, Turd Ferguson.
Yes, funny name. You know, I don't know. I'll take anal bum cover for 600. Oh God, that was so good. Oh man.
First question I have for you, my friend. What is going on with Corrupt?
So he got a call, like I thought we would, from your favorite place, Epic. And they're like, can you wait a little bit? You probably don't know what I'm talking about, Sean, but Epic is a very, very big company that is pretty good at what they do in the video game world. And they've asked us to wait to release. Now, we've given them a very short window. And our people are going to talk to the CEO tomorrow. Now,
Joe,
they don't come with something. We're likely going to launch this week, preferably on Friday, which was what the original release was. Not on Good Friday, the Friday before that. And then they asked us if we wanted to release the day before Thanksgiving, because I guess that's their number one day for sales. And so last minute, we obliged, Gerald. I'm sorry, but we will be on this week.
That's going good to me, but I'm like Wednesday. All right, go and get Joe's game. That is still on wish list. Boy, do I look really good right now.
No. And I know it's kind of a bummer. I was kind of bummed a little bit, but then it's not. It's just it is. We gotta do it right. Who's Gerald Glassford joined? Where did John go?
Oh, he had computer issues, just like
Oh,
I
really?
had router issues just a little while ago. My router went Joe Soro. His computer went Joe Soro.
Why are you calling it Joe Soro?
Because you know how you always have those router issues.
When was the last time you got punched in the throat?
Well, that would be pretty hard for you to do because it'd have to reach over 300 miles.
Yeah. So yeah, we're. I will announce officially when it's on.
Well,
Oh, by the way, folks. By the way, we are on the nightcap. So, for those of you who for those of you who have just joined us for the first time, this is kind of like the post game show where it's not as conventional as the post game. The post game is I have drinks, nightcap, and sometimes I'll have a snack, and then of course we'll delve into other things besides the Laker world. And it's been real easy lately to go off the Laker world thing because the Lakers have been kind of suspect. But hey, they're 12-8. Good for them. I didn't think they'd be 12-8 this summer. I was hoping, being like Gerald Glassford, hoping for everything. And we'll see if they can get to that magical number 20 before they get to the unmagical number of 10.
I hope Corrupt will come out someday. There you go.
Oh, well, we'll be here.
By the way,
oh
no, my feelings weren't hurt. I'm just wishing for
like
your guy. You've got someone that's been waiting a long time for this to come out, and I'm rooting for him. So and you as well as one of the financiers.
So what
I'm
do you say now?
Just trying to time out Sean's tapping on the thing on how I missed.
What did I just say? This is the post game. We tap here.
Yeah, but our audio audience listens to this, and all they can hear is.
I'm sure our audience will be fine
when they hear this on the podcast outlet.
Anyway, so
like a telegraph machine.
I'm gonna throw a pitch. I'm gonna throw a pitch at Sean here.
Oh, here, watch out, Sean. Watch out, Sean.
Yeah, the Lakers. I'm sorry, the Niners.
You came back for this, Sean? You came back for this? Really?
Well, Gerald, I did speak the noble truths of the Lakers fast break, and if he gets out of line, you've given me permission.
That was the initiation process. That's correct. Go ahead.
So he knows. He knows.
You guys talking about me behind my back?
Always.
Oh no, this was live.
But yeah, it was behind his back, but it was live.
It was live though.
Jeff, they're not bringing in Correa, dude. That's a joke. Those guys hate that guy.
Joe, you were gonna soft pitch something to me, so
yeah. So more than tonight's game is we need to assess what's coming here. Mm-hmm. The Lakers are playing essentially 2 games in a day and a half.
Yeah.
And they got to go play Minnesota. And then after that, they get only a day off. They got to go play Miami and then a day off and then go play Atlanta. What happens if they lose all 3 of these games?
Like what? So what happens? So that would make us 12-11. We'd probably be around that 9th, 10th spot with San Antonio Spurs and the Sacramento Kings and the rest of the half in, half out, middling, almost bottom dwellers. That would be 23 games in. Pelinka said he needed 30. I don't think you would need 30 at that point, Joe. I think if you were 12-11, you are who you are. What did Bill Parcells say, Joe?
Your record is what you are.
What you are, yeah. So 12-11, you're a 500 team. It would just go By the way, the Spurs upset the Kings tonight, 127-125. So
Is it really an upset the way the teams have been playing so far this
fair,
year?
fair enough, Gerald. Fair enough. Fair
Wait, what
enough.
Are they?
happened?
The Spurs beat the Kings.
I would only say it's an upset because it was in Sacramento, but fair enough.
Well, the Kings have
fair
been
enough.
playing like doo-doo this year
They have.
already, right?
They have, yeah. But so I mean, essentially, Joe, if we lose these next three, that's kind of a microcosm into the season. I think we're really streaky when we're really going. You can win four in a row, 5 in a row. But if you're bad, if the offense stinks, and LeBron's lost his legs, yeah, we could definitely lose 7 or 10.
Okay, so we knew at the beginning of the year that San Antonio would probably play better than they did last year.
Yes.
But would you say that it's better than we expected?
Yes. Given the level of talent on that team, yes.
I don't know, man.
It's just not a good
Well-
fit with DeRozan on that team. It's just not a good fit.
Oh, he's saying the Spurs, though, Gerald. Are the Spurs surprising you a little bit more?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
They're above 500. That surprises me.
Mhm.
Is Chris Paul making that much of a difference?
I would say no. He's getting them in sets, and they're actually running it off. It's not just running the offense through Wemby, even though he's the cog of the whole thing. I would say the big difference, Joe, is that Vassell has taken a step forward, and Castle is having a pretty decent, Gerald, I would say, rookie year. I would actually, I don't understand why they don't play him more beside Chris
Well, he's
Paul.
now in the start. He is now in the starting
lineup. Yeah, which should have happened, a few weeks ago. But yeah, so I think they're still a year or two away, Joe. They really need another front court player that Wemby can rely on to be a second safety valve, because it's not enough for Vassell and Stephen Castle now.
So the reason why I asked this question is I'm looking at the standings and I feel pretty comfortable with who's in the top 10. I could see the top 10 looking the way it looks. But then I started thinking about it. I'm like, the guys that are sitting at 11 and 12 are the Kings and the Timberwolves. So there's been some teams that have kind of flip-flopped. The surprise for me is how well the Clippers have played already to start the season. But then you can look at the Lakers set up as a surprise as well. When do these teams come back down to earth? And San Antonio seems to intrigue me in that because they have Victor and they have a really good vet, Chris Paul, and their kind of aura of the San Antonio Spurs. These guys are not likely going to probably be different later unless there's a major injury than they are now. That will pose a problem if the Lakers do not figure out a way to get some kind of improvement on this team, because they're playing a chance that LeBron and AD are not going to get hurt this year. And I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if I can do that.
Well, put on your I don't know, the great Carnegie hat, Joe, and there are 10 games left before the end of the year, okay? I'm going to run you down the 10 games, and you tell me what you think the record will be, okay? At Minnesota, at Miami, at Atlanta, home to Portland. A back-to-back at Sacramento, the 19th and the 21st. Home to Detroit, at Golden State for Christmas. You play your last game against the Sacramento Kings all year long, December 28th. And then you finish off the year December 31st with the Cleveland Cavaliers. So in those 10 games, what would you say the record is?
Shoot. My instincts say 4-6.
Gerald?
Yes. Well, they have the back-to-back in Sacramento. Man, if they could sweep that in Sacramento, I think that will go a long way.
I think
They
they
are.
split.
Yeah, I think they split too. They're not playing in Las Vegas. I think that's actually going to be a benefit this time around because I am a big believer in the fact that they were very tired coming off that run in the IST. I think they've got a positive record. I think they've got. I'm looking at it now. I think they got 2 or 3 out over Sacramento.
Mm-hmm.
They've got the Detroit game.
Yep.
I think they can split the road trip.
I agree, Gerald.
The Portland game they should win. So I think overall it'll be a positive month for the Lakers. I think they get out of it with a winning record, and I think that's going to be right around the 30-game mark for Joe and I. And I think by the end of it, they'll be probably somewhere around, I want to say about 18 and 12.
Mm-hmm. I would say that's what I would go with, Gerald. Yeah.
Maybe.
I think you could go finish this 10-game stretch 6-4. You finish the year off 18 and 12 after 30 games, and that's actually a pretty decent record.
Yeah.
I think I think you guys are looking at it from the hope standpoint, and that's fine.
No, I'm looking at it from the expected win standpoint.
Yeah.
I don't see how I have them losing the next 3 games.
I think they take one of those games.
Yeah, Miami offensively is not playing very well.
The record is based off of what I think is going to happen. I think they lose tomorrow, and they lose in Miami and in Atlanta. They win in Portland. They split with the Sacramento Kings in those 2 games. They beat Detroit at home. They lose on Christmas. They beat Sacramento, and then they get waxed by the Cavs again at home.
Okay.
And that's kind of where I stand on that. It's based off of a couple things. It's based off of how they've played.
I will say this though, Cleveland comes in on that game off a back-to-back because they're playing Golden State on December 30th.
And normally that would be a good thing for the Lakers, but they played they played the Suns and Denver on the back end of back-to-backs last week, and they blew it. They blew ass, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And I just think there's something brewing here mentally. I think this team looks tired already. LeBron looks tired mentally. I think it's more mental than physical. AD came out the gates, and it's not just come out the gates. AD is notorious for having a 1 or 2 or maybe even a 3 week just, oh my God, AD is destroying, and then he goes away for a while. He is the sabbatical king. He gets out and then gets out. That's just kind of what his career has been. He's never gotten into any year where he just continues to do what he does. He's never done it. And I don't know why. I don't know if it's a focus issue. I don't know if it's an ability issue. I can't sit here and say his plantar fascia, whatever the hell they call it, is the issue, but it's not, because he's been in the league a long time. We've seen how he plays. He does not dominate for an entire 82-game season. And this team can't afford him not to be that guy at any point. And LeBron, I'm sorry, I can't expect LeBron to be getting to the basket at 40 years old and saving the day. It's sad too, because he's been phenomenal as the lead guard.
But see, Joe, His shooting percentage inside of the 3-point line is still very good. He's shooting the worst he's shooting on the mid range is around 44%.
And before today, he was actually shooting well from outside, but yeah, 0 for 9 today. Just absolutely terrible.
So it's almost what's happening is very reminiscent of the 2023 playoff run.
Yeah, he was above 40 before today, and now he's below 40.
He's able to will himself to a decent percentage inside that line. It's just the legs go and he doesn't have it.
No.
And by the way, Austin Reeves is the Gerald after LeBron. I believe Austin Reeves is the next closest to league average from 3, and he's almost there. But I mean, you're talking about a team that desperately needs shooting, desperately, because we can't rely on Old Man River, even though he's not even 30 yet. Gabe Vincent, although his knees are like 38. To shoot 2 of 3 from 3 every game. It's not going to happen.
Well, let's look at this as far as the 3-point percentage coming out of today's game. Cam Reddish is 52.9. You can
only averages 1 per game. Yeah.
Rui is at 47%. Dalton is at 44%.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's even after today's game for Dalton Connect. So yeah, Rui is 47%. Dalton's at 44.
How many does Rui average a game? What, 2.5?
3.5.
Okay. Oh, that's up for him. So
yes.
Oh, good for Rui.
Anthony Davis, who everybody wanted to shoot threes, he did make 2 of 4 today, but remember he missed like 8 in a row.
He made his first 2.
Yeah, but he missed his next 2, and he's gone. Those are 2. I think he missed his last 8 before then. He dropped from like 43 to 36, so he's dropping fast. Austin Reeves is 35.5. He had his second year, guys, when he was getting close to 40, and you thought, oh man, he's going to take that next step as a shooter, and it just never has happened since. D'Angelo is 30%. Max Christie is 29. Gabe Vincent is 21% from 3, and that's it.
Zubats missed a critical free throw here. Denver has an opportunity to tie the game up.
Ooh, yeah, we'll still take Zubats anyways.
So Cleveland beat Boston today. We're going to have to start becoming Cleveland Cavalier fans here in the next 5 months. Otherwise, we're toast with that. And see, that's where the stress is right now. The stress is that not only are the Lakers not going to likely win a championship.
See, but Joe, I understand where you're going with this, but I don't want to hear that bull jive. I really don't. Because before the Northeasterners acquired Porzingis and Holiday, they were up against the salary cap. They were up against it, but they still found a way to get those 2 guys into the fold. And Gerald, if Brad Stevens and the Boston front office could do that, there's no excuse why Rob Pelinka can't pull himself and his group into a room and figure out a way to try and make the Lakers better too. Because they were up against the salary cap, but they still managed a way to secure Porzingis and Holiday for a championship run. So I don't want to hear any crap, people defending Pelinka's I'll just call it Miss Muffet sitting on her tuffet. That's kind of what Rob Pelinka is right now. He's sitting on his duff, kind of.
We just have a lot of dead contracts,
and that's a problem that he negotiated. He negotiated the Gabe Vincent contract. He negotiated the Jared Vanderbilt contract.
Yep.
So
he drafted JHS.
Are you saying that Rob Pelinka should get off his lily white butt and be more like Brad Stevens?
I heard he's from what we're hearing, he's been on the phones a lot already, but that doesn't mean anything. It's like your boss telling you need to increase your
It's funny you
sales.
say that, Sean.
You
I
need
had someone who wanted to work with me. She asked if she could work with us. She was on the phone a lot. You know what that produced? Exactly, dick.
That's great. You're on the phone a lot. That's great. What does
So
that mean? What does that mean?
we're trying. Hello? Yes, we want your best player.
Oh, you don't want any of our junk? Okay.
Rob Pelinka and Jeannie Buss not only put themselves in a position where they have no flexibility, unlike the Celtics did, they don't feel like they need to do anything, really. I think they're living off the LeBron teat. They have Anthony Davis to show himself every now and then so that we're sitting there going, man, AD is great. He's 35 and 15. And you've seen these yokels at the game. They're all they care about is jerking off in front of the Jumbotron. They don't give a shit about the Lakers. Do they really? Do they really? I mean, I'm listening to the crowd. I mean, it's as dead as Amy Winehouse. It's just there's nothing there. Anyways, they're there to take their phones, shove it up their ass so that they can post it on social media the next day. So to correlate that with Mr. Adam Silver, how are you going to keep people engaged in the game? Or do you care as long as they're there? Okay, sure. I guess that's good. But we live in a TV world now. This isn't the 80s. This isn't the 70s and anything where the tickets made a difference. You don't even need fans. COVID proved that. We talked about that even before anything like COVID came in. I'm like, most of these teams don't even need anybody in the arena anymore. That's just extra money because of the TV contracts. And they just signed a $70 billion contract with NBC and all these yokels. Yet their regional setups are still jacked up. So where's that $70 billion going? Where's it coming from? I don't know.
And not only that, Joe, what they need to do is really figure out a way to batten down the hatches and very, very, very transparently deter teams from tanking. Do you see who's in position to draft Cooper Flag again, Joe?
Yes.
The New Orleans Pelicans.
Yes.
How many first-round picks do the New Orleans Pelicans need, Gerald, before the NBA finally takes a look at this situation and says, what are we going to do here? They might have 3 transformational first-round picks, Gerald, and they've produced exactly what with them?
Not a whole heck of a lot, but at least they don't have the Lakers pick anymore, Sean.
Fair enough, Gerald. And by the way, that's again, it's a scorn on the NBA too, because Joe, we see how shitty the Philadelphia 76ers are playing. Even if they played a little bit better, Joe, do you know who owns their first round pick? Guess who? Guess who? Guess
Wait,
who
who is
owns
this?
their Philadelphia? Guess who owns their first round pick?
Celtics?
Mm-mm.
Or the Oklahoma City?
Yeah. The Oklahoma City Thunder. And it's a top 7 protected pick.
I know they can't. I know they've got a chance. They don't have a chance for 5 because it has to be one or the other with one of those.
So
of those
you're
I
saying
think four first round picks. I think.
yes,
Am I
Gerald.
wrong?
No, that's 4. He could potentially have his own. He could potentially have the Clippers, the Heat, and the Sixers. And
It's like one or the other with one of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I mean, we go to marketing, Joe. Like even if they're really bad, it's not as if they're going to be able to probably have a first round pick because you traded it away.
Good point.
And you traded it away to a team that's probably going to finish with the best record in the
But
NBA.
in the Lakers case, okay, Sean, let me ask you this: would you again, people, the hindsight's 2020, and people are now like reflecting back. In the past couple of weeks, I've had this discussion with some people on our chat.
Mhm.
Would you have taken, knowing what you know now, the AD trade when it was offered you? And I say, yeah, do it. I do it 100 times out of 100 because it got us a championship. Even if it only gives us one championship, at least it's a championship. But some people are saying, well, I would have taken the young core. I would have taken and kept that young core. Would that young core have gotten us to the promised land? It's a good what if.
No.
But it's a good what if, Gerald. But you do remember the fable of Jack and the Giant Beanstalk?
Mm-hmm.
What do those magic beans get him?
Got him a lot of trouble. That's all I know.
Mm-hmm. I think that's what would have happened if we stayed with the core.
The issue too is at what point is Oklahoma City going to continue to draft talent? Because there's only 5 guys that can play at a time. So Oklahoma City needs to make a decision. Likely, I don't know if they're going to win it this year. They could if everything falls in place, but I don't trust Chet Holmgren. I don't trust guys that are always injured, and he seems to be always injured.
And neither does Sam Presti, Joe, or he wouldn't have signed Isaiah Hartenstein to that big deal.
So they're going to have to make a decision. I'm not saying trade Chet Holmgren. I'm not saying that.
No.
But there needs to be something figured out to where Chet Holmgren can be the Porzingis version of Oklahoma City. If he's there, it's a luxury. If he's not there, they're still whooping ass. But they're probably going to need someone that can shoot lights out on this team with Shai Gilgeous and the rest. Otherwise, you don't want to find yourself in a position where you're in that, well, you need to win now. And that's going to be what's going to press Presti.
They have a lot of guards. They need to figure that out as well. Who are you going to play with Shai at the end of a game? Are you going with Isaiah Joe? Are you going with Alex Caruso, the defensive player of the year? There's a lot of options for Mark Daigneault, Gerald.
Yes, there is.
And I still don't know, as good as he is, if Shai Gilgeous is that guy. So
okay, Joe, would you say he's at the very least a number 2 on a very
100%.
good?
Yes, 100% for sure a 2. But he can still be a championship player. But that team needs to be structured in a way where the pressure is not ever going to be on him. So look at the Celtics. I got to use the Celtics. When I look at someone like Jason Tatum, what has been the issue with Jason Tatum on that team? He kind of disappears. And Jaylen Brown is not, Klay Thompson or Steph Curry either. Why were they able to finally kind of get over the hump? A couple things went their way, of course, but they were always relentless and they were always there.
Tatum didn't care that Jaylen Brown played better than him in the clutch.
Boom. So why is it important to have good chemistry in that situation?
Because you want to win. You don't care.
There you go. Now imagine if there was an issue, and I'm telling you, this is the part that I can't stand about the media. They have been trying to get a rift between those guys nonstop for the last 4 years.
Jaylen Brown's noticed it too, Joe.
And I'm just like, dude, they sit there, I'm saying they as in the media, they sit there and they bitch and whine about how players will do certain things and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you're the problem. That's why. You guys are little fuckers with your shit. This is a nice guy. and you're trying to put a rift in it. Oh, well, he didn't make all the shots. I'm like, dude, he won. Who gives a shit? The only people that talk like that are losers. The ones I was telling you about online. Oh, he didn't do anything to win that. Oh, so every game started 4 days ago. Every game started for what about the lead up? What about that one play in the second quarter that wasn't on the stat sheet?
By the way, half the guys on that team that helped them win a championship were acquired via trade, Gerald. Derek White, Kristaps Porzingis, and Drew Holiday. All those guys were acquired by trade.
And Derek White was considered
hand-me-down. A hand-me-down. He was a hand-me-down, yeah.
They lifted him up. Porzingis, I'm sure he played better in his All-Star season, but that game 1 in the finals set the tone, Willis Reed-like in a way. And then, of course, Drew Holiday was supposed to be washed up. He was playing for the Bucks. They were choking left and right. He goes to Boston, turns into Trevor Ariza. Their Trevor Ariza. And wins. He was able to make those plays at the end of the game that Marcus Smart wasn't able to make. That's the difference. This game is this small sometimes. It's this small. One little mistake or one little play that makes a difference. Game of an inch, not even inches, it's an inch. And those things need to be factored in. But most people are box score watching, and we know it. And that's why the venom is lethal whenever I hear things. Because I'm watching the game. Sean, you watch the game. Gerald, you watch the games. I know you guys watch the games. A lot of you guys out there watch the games. But there's a bunch of people that don't. And it's usually the guys that are sitting, which is another problem with sports in general right now, is the talent that's telling you this stuff. It's not being told correctly. You have someone like George Karl who's shitting all over Stephen A. Smith. Now, George Karl is an asshat half the time, but he's not wrong. Not everybody's wrong, even though you don't like them. And by the way, the reason why George Karl talks so much shit about the Lakers is because he's never beat them in a series. When things like that happen, I get it. There's a frustration there. He coached the Warriors. He coached the Sonics. He coached Denver. Never in 7 series against the Lakers as a head coach of whatever team he was coaching. He has beaten the Lakers in all these eras. Even the shitty era of the mid-90s beat him.
Which is amazing because he could always beat the tires off Jerry Sloan in a 7-game series, but the Jazz. But he could never beat Del Harris.
It's always like
Phil
that, though.
Jackson.
It's always like
Mike
that.
Brown. Yeah,
guys.
Tom Brady.
And let me just say this: in your trades, because everybody does these trades, and they want to put Gabe and send him packing. Guys, he has another year on his contract. Think these things through before you send this out. You are not going to trade Gabe unless you attach picks with it. There's no team, there's no self-respecting general manager out there that would take a guy who just scored for the double figures for the first time as a Laker today. Why would you even want to take that individual on for another $10 million after paying him, what the majority of the $10 million in this contract?
Gerald's right. Let's wait till the summer of 2025 for Gabe.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, no one is taking Gabe right now unless you've really got to attach picks onto it, and we don't have that many picks, Joe. We don't have that many picks, John.
I don't even think they take it if you included Austin Reeves. I don't even think they take him if you included Austin Reeves.
Well, I think that's one thing people have to talk about. Nobody on the Lakers should be untouchable. I mean, AD and LeBron, they're not going to trade, even though I'm now thinking like Stone, blowing up the team might be more beneficial because this team, I just don't think is going to get where people want it to go. But since they're not, and LeBron has already, he has a no trade clause and whatnot, I just, that means Dalton, that means all of them. The rest of them should be fair game for a trade proposal but it just depends on what assets the other team really wants to get, Sean.
Yeah, exactly, Gerald. And I don't think anybody should look at themselves as untouchable either.
And I know every fan, Laker fan out there, wants to put Gabe on the first plane out of here. I understand that he's been terrible, absolutely terrible, absolutely incredibly terrible, absolutely another one of Rob's dumb deals. But again, who is taking Gabe? Who is absolutely taking Gabe for any trade out there? And it's not just you, Adam. It's just everybody. Everybody's attaching Gabe. Laker Tom is attaching Gabe on every single mock trade. Who is not, and then the question gets asked, who's saying no to the trade? The other team is saying no to the trade because they don't want another 10 years, $10 million for Gabe Vincent. It's just, guys, I just see so many people wasting their breath.
His contract's more tradable than, let's say, Christie's now and Jared Vanderbilt.
Well, yeah, Vanderbilt's probably the hardest one to trade because he's $11 million for 4 years.
It's tradable, and then you have Rui as well. That's got another year after this. What would have to happen is there would have to be a 3 or 4 team trade for all this to work.
You have to attach picks to it, Joe.
Does Rob have the brain matter to make something like that work?
He had one good trade.
Look at the NBA. Look what these GMs did this last draft. Do any of these other guys know what the hell they're doing? This is not just a last couple of year thing, by the way. NBA GMs are the worst of all the 4 major sports in terms of how badly they miss. And a lot of that, my theory is, and I think this is something I'm going to talk to Stone about when we get him on. There's going to be a lot of 4:00 games this coming week, so I think we're going to be able to get Stone on here. There are issues with these guys not doing their job. Rob is one of them. Now, it's still Genie's fault because I'm sure Rob's a good general manager, making sure the secretaries order enough coffee mugs and coffee filters and shit. I'm sure he does that great. The problem is with sports is you need a player personnel guy, and they don't have that. They have Clutch. That's their player personnel guy. And they don't give a shit about the Lakers. They care about LeBron James and their own ass. You can never let anybody work for you that cares about their own shit, right? So now what? What's going to happen now across all these other teams? Teams that couldn't figure out that Dalton Connect was going to be a good NBA player. Someone like us who watched maybe 20 games, if we're lucky, last year of college basketball, and I saw maybe 2 Tennessee games, and I didn't watch them all the way through either. I was going through my normal routes of scouting because, unfortunately, guys, I got to work, and I can't watch every fucking game. I wish I could. I really would watch even college basketball if I could. But I did get a sense watching, listening to some of the people out in the, I will give some props to the Northeast. There are some guys out there that know that they do know what they're talking about. I don't know what it is about the Big East and that area. I think a lot of it is because they're kind of like us. They're knowledgeable. They're conditioned. They have a good feel of the pulse over there. When we found out that the scouting reports were certain guys falling in place, I'm like, all right. I mean, Khalil Ware was the guy I kind of thought would drop to the Lakers. I thought that might have been the guy. And then, of course, when he got picked by Miami, I'm like, fuck. Because Miami, in a lot of ways, for me, is kind of like Baltimore in football. When Baltimore picks somebody that I wanted ahead of the Steelers, I'm like, God damn it. Because they almost are identical in how they look at talent. There's a reason why that rivalry has been, in my opinion, the best in football for the last 25 years, because they're the same. And how the hell does Dalton Connect drop to 17 in the shittiest draft, arguably, of the last 24 years? We're not going to know that for another few years, but it could be number one, even worse than 2000. That's going to be crazy to think about, but that's kind of where this might go. So now you're asking someone like Rob Pelinka, who got that job based off of friendship because Jeannie wanted to be close to Kobe. And now you want this guy with a bunch of other yahoos? No, Presti's not going to do a deal with this guy. Tim's not going to do anything in Minnesota. Denver's not going to do anything. Like, what? Who was going to? Then what? So it's a lot. It's a lot to. We're getting questions on the chat about, can we unload people and get talent somehow through the buyout market? No, we can't even do that, because now you're messing with the fact that you're going to reach the next apron, and now your luxury tax is going to destroy you.
Your trade, well, any trade that you guys have out there, it has to be the same exact dollar amount or less. They cannot go, because remember, they're $30,000 away from that second tax apron. So Joe's right on that.
Jerry West. Why do we love Jerry West? Yes, it's obvious we love him because he was a results guy, correct. But you know what was great about Jerry West? He did the work. This is Jerry effing West. He was a legend before he even got the job. Imagine, you're a legend already. You're a legend. And this is the thing that sucks about Kobe being gone. I believe Kobe would have done bigger things in his career. Imagine that. Because most of the time, no one's going to outdo what they're known for. Kobe had that chance. The guy won a motherfucking Oscar 17 months after he retired. Who does that? I was having conversations. Would you rather have 5 titles and an Oscar or 6 championships? I actually have to think about it. Think about it. If you have to, let me ask Sean. I've never asked anybody this. Sean, if somebody came to you, forget about Michael Jordan's career and Kobe's career. Just if somebody came to you 30 years ago, no, wait, not 30 years ago, 15 years ago, and you didn't know anything about Jordan or Kobe or anything, and they said, all right, Sean, you're going to have a 15-year career. You're going to win. You have 2 choices. You're going to win 6 championships, doesn't matter what sport it is. Or, and that person, let's say, is your barometer.
Okay.
And then they come to you and they say, okay, you're going to win 5. Right away, you're thinking, no, fuck that. I want 7, right? No, hold on, let me finish, right? You're like, but you win 5, but you mix in a Academy Award in there. Academy Award? How the hell is that going to happen? I'm an athlete. How the hell is an athlete going to win an Academy Award? Am I making a song? Like, you wouldn't know shit. Like, you're asked that at that moment, what do?
Yeah, I'd take that hard left and take the 5 in the Oscar.
See? How do you dominate? I mean, Academy Awards have always kind of been iffy with me because I felt like sometimes it never made sense to me. I'm like, how does Al Pacino have 1 Oscar? Like, things like that. But it's still the championship title for your profession. And I said the same thing. I said, how do you say no to 5 and 1? And it's like, it's just a weird, it's like, it's stuff that didn't make any sense. And the guy did it not even a year and a half into his post-playing career. So now fast forward to, I guess, the topic at hand. I mean, the Lakers need a miracle. I've been using that word. They need a miracle. And any non-Laker fan is going to look at us and go, you guys are out of your damn mind. You guys are just absorbed with your own garbage. This is the Lakers. You saw them win championships, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, and that's the point. The point is, that's what happens when you win. It's not about just winning and going and relaxing at the beach, even though we're just observers. We don't have a hand in this. We're just observing. But for me, just like the whole Dodger thing, there's a lot of people soaking in this title, right? But there was something that happened about a week ago because I did want to enjoy this one a little bit more, mainly because they beat the Yankees. If they had beaten like Cleveland or the Royals, it probably would have been much shorter. But beating the Yankees was big for me in terms of the legendary kind of matchup and being able to watch that, especially winning in New York on top of that, which is what I wanted them to do. What I wanted them to do. But about a week ago, I kept seeing more and more, celebration. I'm like, all right, guys, all right. I'm still enjoying it. I'm still going to enjoy it. But this team is due a back-to-back. The Dodgers in their 137-year history, they've never went back-to-back. It's due. They're due. And that's now I'm starting to think about that. They went back-to-back, and this thing gets put in a completely different category now. They're never going to catch the Yankees, at least in my lifetime. The Yankees have 27 championships. The Dodgers have 8. But they have a chance to be the NL king. The Cardinals have 11. So that's kind of this thing that they're putting together, man. The fact that they got Snell, they just re-upped Edmund. They're still going after a couple guys to continue to make the world of baseball fandom even more angry, because apparently now that they're winning, now they're buying their championships. They weren't talking about buying anything the last couple of years when they were getting bounced in the first round. Well, we got cheated. Everybody, and when I say we all got cheated on that one in 17 and in 18. Bunch of cheating pieces of shit. So if you all got a problem with what's going on right now, you can eat a dick. If you want to trade some things, get us our 17 and 18 titles, and then maybe I'll negotiate with you.
Chris, I just want to say, because he said, I'd say let's out everyone on the table, or let's put everyone on the table for trade except for LBJ, AD, AR, and Connect. I think you are going to have to put AR and Connect on the table. Again, I'm a huge fan of Connect, but his defensive flaws are always going to be a detraction, but his shooting is always going to be an attraction. And in doing so, if you want to improve this team and get this team better, I don't know what the expiring contract of D'Lo and JHS and maybe Rui added on there, who is not expiring, but still, I don't know what that really gets you to really improve this team, or unless you want to use those 2 firsts. Those 2 firsts might be a game changer, but yeah, I don't know. Well, what are you asking me to put on screen, Sean?
Yeah, Gerald. Since Joe brought up the second apron, I just brought up
Victoria's Secret has a Cyber Monday sale. Oh, how interesting.
Yeah, there you go. Anyway, teams cannot use a trade exception generated by aggregating the salaries of multiple players. Teams cannot include cash in a trade. Teams cannot use a trade exception generated in a prior year. First round picks 7 years out are frozen. And a team's first round pick is moved to the end of the first round if they remain in the second apron for 3 out of 5 seasons. So, Gerald, that means that if the Lakers decide to enter the second apron and they are in it for 3 out of 5 years, if LeBron James and Anthony Davis are no longer on the roster and the Lakers find themselves as a draft lottery projected team, they get moved down to pick 30 or 31, regardless of their record. That's why Joe was talking about how punitive and severely detrimental entering that second apron is.
And if you continue to do it, you actually get it taken away, I believe.
Yes. So I mean, this second apron breaks your legs basically.
Plus, as far as you cannot pick up as far as players that get waived later on in the season. You know how buyout guys, everybody talks about buyouts. Phoenix and Boston cannot pick up any buyout guys. If they trade, they cannot trade multiple players or for multiple players. And it can only be I think only can be a 1 versus 1. They can only trade out one. The Celtics and they can only trade out one. And it has to, of course, match or be less than.
That's why Joe talked about during the offseason, the Lakers really have no choice. They have to re-sign D'Angelo Russell. And the Phoenix Suns were in a similar position with the biggest dickhead in the NBA, Grayson Allen. They had to do the same thing with Grayson Allen. They could not afford to lose him in free agency. So they had to sign him to a gaudy deal, Gerald, that he's not worth.
But give credit to them. I mean, they were able to improve their point guards. I mean, it hasn't really worked out as well as they thought so far, but Tyus Jones, Monte Morris was an upgrade over what they had last season at the point guard, and they were able to do that with minimum contracts. So, again, these minimum contracts can be valuable, guys. It's just, who are you signing to these minimum contracts? Are they going to be able to make a difference? And so far, virtually all these minimum contracts, who is the best one? Remember last year when they signed all these minimum contracts? Who's the best one? Cam? Jackson Hayes? I mean, that's your bar, guys. That's your bar of your minimum salary players that the Lakers have been able to work
Man,
with.
we're not even in the Walmart clearance bin at this point. We're in like the Salvation Army's nobody goes there bin.
Oh, big shout out to Robert Wheeler. You know, almost like death and taxes. Robert Wheeler near the end of the show giving us a zinger question. So, Joe, I'll let you take it away for you and Sean.
So, Joe and Sean, do you think Vincent played good because he started and knew he needed to play well? By the way, Sean, Robert Wheeler asked some of the best questions you can ask from any chat room. Thank you, Robert. Do you think there's any chance Reeves, when he comes back, goes to the bench with D'Lo to spark the bench? I'll let you answer that, Sean.
I wouldn't put it past JJ to maybe do something like that. I don't see it right away, but it's definitely a possibility for sure. If you were gonna do that, you'd have to expect almost the same level of effort and productivity from Gabe Vincent, like relatively speaking. And can you really expect that out of Gabe Vincent at this point? I don't know.
This was his career high as a Laker.
Yeah, that's tough because having Reeves and D'Lo off the bench would be great, but I don't think that's a possibility at this point. We don't have the depth to try and even experiment with that from my perspective.
Just it's tough, man.
Yeah, I'm not expecting. I can't expect someone who's got bad knees and didn't shoot well even before he became a Laker to have this added pressure on top of it to be a guy that can drop 15 points a game as a starter. Because that's really what they needed from him. They needed a guy that could drop 15 a game, that could play some good defense, kind of thin out a little bit of that passing area, the clogging of it anyways. But that's just not who he is.
Clogged. That's a really good word to describe our depth. It's like a clog in the sink.
It's actually worse than a sink.
Well,
I've had no problems with sinks. You want to know what I have had problems with? Fucking showers.
Well, why don't you use a snake and get that out of there?
Man, I've tried snakes. I've tried salamanders. I've tried frogs. It doesn't fucking work. So I know why. Because I have guest bathrooms that we don't use. And sometimes you don't remember to turn the water on. So shit happens, right? I mean, it's still functional, but you got to go in there and you got to do shit. But then there was this one time where I had plastics down there. Fucking assholes who built the house let plastics get down there. I got the damn snake and pulled out a bunch of shit.
Okay.
But yeah, sinks are okay. I always can figure out the sink because there's activity there. But it's the bathrooms, the shower bathroom or the shower tubs that become a problem. My advice on anyone who does anything with a house, do not upgrade. Even if you got to pay a little bit, do not put those like I don't know what the hell they call them, but those
Don't
kind
put a
of
jacuzzi bath in your bathtub,
no, the
Joe.
jacuzzi bath is fine. Just make sure not to put one of those. I was calling it the. You remember that the porta potty thing that landed on the island for Tom Hanks and Castaway?
Yes.
That shit. That's what that shit looks like when they're putting it in. Don't have one of those inserted cheap ass non linoleum, whatever the hell garbage shit that stuff is. That's the stuff that goes bad. Anyways, I'm going off topic here. We've been on here for an hour, and again, thank you all for a good. Joe has safe good. Mia, listen, man.
Just like Randy Quaid from National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, the shitter was full.
My safe house is wherever I'm at. I'm safe. And I'm not stupid either. I'm not going to go into the jungle or go to Skid Row or something like that down in LA. But yeah, I'm usually pretty good at knowing my surroundings. I don't need a safe space. I started hearing that too, by the way, after last, what was it, 3 weeks ago? Started hearing about universities and all those pansies yapping about how they now need to go cry on a shoulder or something, but not as much as we heard 8 years ago. So I'm glad everybody got better with that. Pale, yes. So Sean, I think I might have told you this. 3 months before COVID started getting bad, it was even more than that. It was like 6 months. I was talking to a buddy of mine, and my sister has one. I'm like, dude, it's time to get a bidet. I'm like, what the hell are we waiting for? And then, of course, COVID hit, and it expedited it. I finally went and got 3 of them. It was like $70 each. Put them on each, setup. And greatest investment, one of the greatest investments I ever made. Highly recommend, folks, and you'll save a crap load of money on toilet paper. I highly recommend it. Let's see here. You need to search. Let's see what Mark is saying. I haven't talked to Mark in a while here. You need to search. I'm good till like 5.
Joe, puns aren't your style.
Puns?
Yeah. A crap full of money in a bidet.
Yes, because you're not sitting on it. It's set up on the side. You hook it into the back, and then
That's too European for me. I don't know about you, Trail. That's too European for me.
see, I got to be clean, guys. I have to.
Bidets are good, man. Every time I go to Hawaii, there's always a place where we go that has a bidet, and I'm a bidet fan. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you got to do it. And for those who say, well, how do I dry off? Well, there are different bidets that can.
Some of them have heaters. Some of them have
heaters.
hair
I mean, if you're all into that stuff, I kind of keep it basic, and I'm not gonna tuck tail and run as soon as I'm done. I usually kind of relax.
Chris, give it a try.
Take in the atmosphere a little bit.
Yes, give it a try, Chris. By the way,
God.
Sorry.
I don't.
See, there's a good pun by Mia. NBA hole. Oh shit! Look, sometimes you gotta go. Sometimes it's instant. You hear something in your head on a topic, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, this is probably going to be pretty good, and then you let it just.
I can almost guarantee everybody out there, when there is a self-cleaning toilet available, Joe Sora will buy it.
Oh yes, the next setup will be legendary. And by the way, Mark, wet wipes, because I'm in the construction business and I have a soft heart for the plumbers. Those things are really, really bad for the pipes. Really bad. So they say flush one at a time, dude, that stuff. I saw a guy, it was like a boulder when they pulled out that stuff out of the plumbing. It's really bad for pipes. So I try to help my boys, the plumber boys, by not going that route. Again, we'll
Not even supposed to put paper towels in there. What are you doing putting wet wipes, that stuff in there?
No crack, no meth, no piping, like pipes.
Oh, people still throw their medication in the toilet.
Wash your ass, men. Yes, indeed. We will wash our ass. If there's nothing else, folks, I want to thank you all for being on this astounding show tonight. You didn't think I could pun that down, did you, Sean?
Well, you were called splendid earlier by John.
Well, I thought astounding was kind of fitting. There you did, happen again. Anyways, I want to thank you all for being here tonight for the.
Well, just say tomorrow. Don't forget tomorrow's game.
Are you going to let me finish?
Yes, sir.
Thank you all for being here tonight. Tomorrow, the Lakers go to Minnesota, and rum for a back-to-back again, where it's an earlier game and they lose time. Thank you, NBA, for doing that, by the way. And I don't know if Reeves will be back tomorrow, but they desperately needed him today. I think if they'd had him today, I think this maybe might have not been as close, but maybe I'm just wishful thinking. But we will be here tomorrow. There will be a nightcap after the post game, and obviously we'll have playback for the Minnesota game. Game is at 5 p.m. Pacific time. It'll be 7 o'clock Minnesota time.
Mm-hmm.
Minnesota.
And do we go 13-8? And right now it doesn't look good, guys, because I just got word that JJ Redick stormed off during the postgame. So to go back to what I said, is JJ Redick going to last? Not because he's a Laker coach or there's an issue with coach. His caring is starting to become very daring to his health or his mindset. So this is something I want you all to monitor now that I've mentioned it. JJ Redick does not look happy, and I'm curious to see. I had estimated that he was going to blow up around December, January. Now I want to know who he's going to blow out. Is he going to blow out on LeBron, AD? Because he's got that in him. Is LeBron going to do something on Christmas where he finally unloads on him during the game? And how is LeBron going to react to that? Those are questions I want you guys to think about, because I think it's coming. And until then, we will be here again tomorrow. Sean, I'm assuming you'll be here as well.
Wait. Oh, yeah?
Right?
Hope so.
No? Sean? Anyone?
Yes.
Good. Welcome back. This time, don't do what you normally do and leave again. Otherwise, I'll whoop your ass, because the shows are better like this. So
Remember the initiation, Sean. Remember.
Well,
Joe, I have pledged my undying allegiance to Gerald's edict and our initiation. So if the time comes where I have to get a little apey, I get a little apey. You're going to be the brunt of that gorilla.
That's great, because I'm about the show. Gerald is about the show, but he's like wants things to be like
I know,
flowery,
but if I do
tulips,
turn into that silverback
roses.
gorilla, you're going to be in the monkey house.
I enjoy the heat. Not Miami heat. I mean like the heat of things.
Yes, Joe, we know. You can
And
handle
I
a
want you to
fire.
really embrace it. If you've gotta go that way.
Well,
here's
I've
my
got to
only
go that
advice.
way because Gerald
Here's
has
my
said
only
that
advice.
according to the Lakers fast break, I've got to go that way. So there's no
Well,
other way.
The
There's
problem
no
is
other
because
way.
it's his
No,
plays.
there is no problem. He already said.
But
He already
if
said.
let's say he's out taxing, the wife,
Then
and
he
we have that gap.
then he defers to the audience, and he can watch.
If he has
the
that
show,
gap where he's not here,
but
then
he
that
has
might
his
be the time
audience.
to. Like I honestly, I had this vision in my head
Joe,
where
your
your
ass
hair
is-
was messed up. You
I'm gonna.
came in and you're
I
like,
am going to spank your ass red if necessary. That's the way it has to be.
look, man, Mike Francesca and Mad Dog Chris Russo. For those
You
of
know
you who
what
don't
a
know who those
switch
guys
is,
are,
Joe?
those guys made a living and made their legendary careers off of shit like that. It's fun, even if it's serious. Now, eventually they had to split up because it was too much.
I think it
But
was too much for Mike. I think Chris could
yeah,
handle
Chris
it.
was fine because Chris is nuts. Mike, I'm listening to Mike talk now. I mean, after this Yankee debacle, he
Oh my
looked like.
God. Oh my God, yeah.
Hey, we love you too, Serge. We love you all. Again, thank you for being here tonight. Embrace the moment. I'm going to go a little zen here. Embrace the moment. And folks, it's not always going to be good tasting yogurt with strawberries. And that's the point, guys. We're here to do something. That's just not.
I will say there is a good omen for tomorrow. Joe Ingles isn't playing, and he usually has the game of his year.
Yeah, but our Joe Ingles will probably be here, and that's a problem.
Yeah, our Joe Ingles.
Yeah. So, and with that, again, if you're watching, fuck you, and then we'll see you all tomorrow. And anyone who wants to get in contact with me, you can reach me on Facebook under Johnny Blade, and I have Mr. Freeman on the Statue of Liberty as far as my icons, so you'll be able to spot me there. If you want to reach me on Instagram, I'm on SinBlades_turf, and of course on X, you can find me as Joe Soro LFB. You can direct message me or message me on the main pages, and I'll have more information on everyone. There was a slight delay on Corrupt, but it will be coming out this week. I'll let you know exactly when it's on. The green button, I even have the picture of the green button. It's just all it needs to be is pressed. The only reason why we haven't pressed it is we have these assholes who keep waiting till the last minute to fucking set up meetings for the last time. Just get us the goddamn thing. The fucking thing is done. We have voiceover shit. We have marketing that we got done. All the characters are in. 60 FPS, Unreal Engine 5. We've done it all. Just get on board. Let's market this motherfucker and let's get rich. Because if I get rich, you all get rich. Until next time. I'll see you next time.
Joe, I would, if I was you, I'd sit Christian McCaffrey at this point. He injured his PCL. He's done.